they developed the pre-flop ranges.
Hey, everybody. This is the cash game pokercoaching.com study group. And we're going to look at some multi-way solves today. But first, we're going to look at the difference between DTO Explorer and GTO Wizard and why. Okay, Joey, you were saying.
Do they say anywhere on their site how they developed their pre-flop ranges?
No, the only thing that it
Like
says, so
GTO Wizard and what's that called? Poker Academy?
yeah,
Pre-flop Academy? They both use HRC for their open ranges now.
gotcha. No, they don't say they don't say, and I didn't ask him whether he used HRC or whether he used Monk or Solver for the opening ranges or whether he used Pio Solver. But just to look at some differences here, this is going to be GTO Wizard, 6 max, NL 2.5 opening raises. And this is going to be DTO. The same thing, 6 max, and I just went to the 50 NL. Now, just taking a look at the low jack range, here we go. There's a low jack range comparing to this low jack range. Obviously the same shape, but
what's the global percentages?
Well,
What's the
global
global percentage?
they're 18.6
18
versus
compared with 17.6, and it gets more extreme as we go. Differences you see here, ace 9 being played, some not being played in the other, king 10 being played more. We've got 74% king 10 here. We've got 25% king 10. 8-7 not at all, 7-6 not at all. So just in some of these differences, but the shapes are the same. So nothing crazy there.
Yeah, I think what happens with these, from my very limited knowledge, is that when they build pre-flop ranges, they use, to make them full, they'd have to play out all the hands and come up with a result. But
Right.
that's not feasible with today's computing resources. So they use some clever statistical and computational shortcuts on the
That makes
back end
sense.
in order to create these pre-prop ranges. And I think that is probably where the art is. In other words, that's what drives the differences.
Yeah. Here, this is the hijack range. We've got some ace 5 in GTO. We've got none in DTO. We've got no 5-4, 5-6, 6-7, 7-8. And we've got all of those here. And it's not like they simplified these suited connectors and put them all in 9-8 like that. It's like they just don't have them at all.
Roll over 9-8 again in DTO.
9-8, 16% in DTO.
Okay.
In GTO, it's 14%. But we've got another 8%, 10%, 13%, 8% here. So fair amount.
One
And
thing that sticks out to me is the deuces through fives looks like 50% or greater.
Yeah.
Versus like our 10%.
Yeah, they love the deuces through fives in the earlier positions in DTO. And their overall raising range is 304 combos compared to 280 combos. That's a big difference.
Do you know if the rake structure and the starting stacks are the same in both these?
Yes, that's what I checked. They're both NL50. They're
Oh,
both 100 big blinds, and they're both 2.5 big blind opens. Joey, you said it.
what is their cap?
Cap.
They're both 5%, but we're not every NL50 is identical.
Yes.
Some say if they based it on a different cap than GTO
Right.
Wizard.
I'll also, the thing that strikes me as more surprising here is the difference in frequencies. They're pretty darn close, but they're different. I have been told, I saw a video that Tombo did. He's one of the creators on GTO that said, look, you 3 different models run for the same purpose may give you slightly different combos, but your frequencies should be the same and your EV should be the same. And so, I think that this is a pretty trivial differences,
Yeah,
but I am surprised
Mhm.
that 24-9 and 28-2, that's a real difference, and I am surprised at that.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
they're
I was
all
surprised
still
by that.
within 1% for the most. They're all within 2%.
Mm, let's see, 29.4% in the cutoff versus 28.2. Yeah, okay.
That's
Yeah,
1.2.
10 combos different. Yeah. So there you go. Now we're gonna, and with that in mind, it just adds to my thing that there's no such thing as GTO. There are multiple GTO strategies, and I'm wasting my time with the amount of memorizing I'm doing on GTO Wizards strategy.
I think that's a really good takeaway.
Yes, but I'm not gonna stop. I'm just gonna waste my time. But I'm not gonna waste your time with it anymore. So let's take a look at some multi-way things here. DTO Explorer. And here's how, this is, by the way, how we get back to it without doing the reset. So we're gonna look at the pre-flop only. I'm sorry, we're gonna look at post-flop, 3 players. We have these 2 scenarios. We looked at low jack last time a fair amount. So let's look at cutoff this time. All right, cutoff. What's the flop, kids?
Well, my
Yeah.
question is, our assumptions before, based on what other professionals looking at rain solutions have told us,
Mm-hmm.
is there's going to be a lot of checking range from the middle position.
Mm-hmm.
We did not see that at all last week.
We found some specific hands with the middle position bet, but we found some where they did almost range. So
Yeah, but there was not. We didn't see anything where it was checking range.
really, let's grab this one.
That looks like a check range board.
Let's see.
So can you just tell me what the pre-flop action is? I know you just showed it. I missed.
Yes, cutoff raises,
Raise,
button
button
calls,
calls, big blind calls.
right. So
So
2.5 in the flop, 2.5, 50 cents from the small blind, $8 in the pot, no rake being taken out on the site.
should we play that everybody has a hand game again?
I like it.
Yeah, I thought that was
I
enjoyable.
think the ranges are more important than what are we doing with a specific hand.
We're gonna do that too, Joey. We're gonna look at the ranges, but just for the trainer part of it, let me also open up our little chat thing. Here we go. Poker coking. Yes, that's this. Poker coking. A fine thing to spend your time doing. So we're still gonna look at the range, but just before we look at the range, as we do it, give yourself a hand. That way we can do the trainer. And my hand is going to be, I raised in the cutoff with king jack off suit.
Oh, Scotty, really quick, does
Yeah.
their trainer do 3-way?
No, no,
Oh, that
we
sucks.
we have to simulate it this way.
I'll take the button calling with pocket sixes.
All right, good for you. How nice. Well, we'll see if they bet. That'd be nice. Okay, so and I got king jack. So, I got king jack offsuit in the cutoff button called with pocket sixes. And who's got a big blind hand? Somebody grab a big blind hand.
All right, I'll take it. I was in chat with 5-5, but I'll take 5-5 with a spade in the big blind.
Jack off. Jack.
Oh, I didn't see OTB. I'm sorry.
No,
Okay.
that's okay. We'll stick with it.
Okay.
OTB on the button. Gotcha. That's fine. You got multiples. Okay. 5-5 and well, 5-5 is going to play different than 6-6. That's for sure. All right. So, big blind. Who's got a big blind hand? Nobody.
Yeah, I have 5-5.
Oh,
We were
5-5
switching it up. So Josh
big blind.
is going to be on the button and I'll be on
All right.
in the big blind.
So it's obvious. So, everybody's checking the big blind, right? Don't even need to ask.
Yeah, I think it's checking range.
And there's a check range like we've seen.
But I think that Mike should note that he hasn't made a mistake yet.
Yes. We have never seen a big blind donk
Yeah, we have yet to see one.
board
happen.
yet. All right. So now in the cutoff, I'm checking.
And when
I've
you
got ace nine of hearts and I'm gonna check as well.
Okay.
so it's on me with pocket sixes
Yeah.
with a set of sixes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm betting that.
Okay. There we go. And let's check it out now.
Do I need to tell you how much I'm gonna bet, or do I can just leave it at betting?
We know how much you're gonna bet. You're gonna bet $2.66
Oh, okay,
because that's your only, because that's all you can do.
okay, 266. I actually was gonna say 267, so.
Wait, where's the, oh, here we go.
You
So
gotta check the big blind first.
664 is what you're gonna bet.
So should we look at what cutoff is doing?
Yeah, now we'll look at the cutoff.
So,
This is a check range.
Close
yeah,
to.
we're like
Yeah.
checking.
And these we did see, Joey. We saw a lot of them that where there was some betting, but you could simplify to check range.
I didn't see anything this clear when we looked at it Tuesday.
Okay.
Why don't we
That's what
pick a hand?
That's what had me thrown. I'm like, all of these, all the ones we were looking at, the low jack. Well, we were looking at low jack mostly.
Hmm.
The low jack had a betting range.
Yeah.
After the big blind checked.
So we'll
And
go
that-
back.
That kind of like threw me because we were taught that the low jack should have a lot of checking range.
Yeah. So let's, when we're, after we do a few of these in this new position, let's go back and review and just jam through a couple of them and see if, how common that is. Basically, let's make our own aggregate report by going fast. But right now, our ace nine, yep. A little bit of betting, mostly checking. 6-6. 13%, fine. And my king jack off is, of course, checking. And I don't remember what anybody else had. There we go. So this makes sense. And if, as we look at this, all the nines bet a little bit. Not much. If you checked range here, you wouldn't be wrong.
Does the
that sense.
global work out to be like 10% or something, 5%? 7%.
7%. 7%. And now looking at it, you can see it more clearly this way. You know, every hand that bets makes some sense. King 10, I assume we need a spade and the king tends to bet it. Yeah. Oh, you bet a lot with a spade. A third of the time. That surprises me.
How about all your over pairs? Or they assume they're just spade is when they want to bet? Yeah. Okay.
Prefers a spade to bet, prefers a spade to bet. I mean, yeah, it's checking. Never bets without a spade. Never bet.
I'm curious if
Queens-
we're gonna check raises.
Queens does. So
Oh, sure.
And then
no protection needed, no protection needed, a little protection needed. Jacks, more
little
protection
more
needed.
protection needed.
So reverse
Even more
linear.
protection needed.
But even then, none of them do it more than 50% of the time. So you don't need protection. You can just get it. Top set 15%. Middle set 13%. Bottom set 12%. So that's that thing we saw that bottom and middle set bet more, you know, because they unblock the top pair.
Right.
Doesn't
But isn't it
happen.
really fair to say you're splitting hairs there? I mean,
Yeah. But what I'm saying is when we saw that thing we expected, where we saw it a lot from the bottom and middle and less from the top in the heads up, just doesn't exist multi-way. That's
Sure.
what my point is.
sure,
The difference here isn't that important. It's that the difference isn't there that we expected.
right.
Okay. There we go. And now button comes in. Button's got pair of pocket sixes. This is going to be fun.
I'm guessing the button might be betting over 60% of range.
Still betting small.
You see, I think I'm going to go with less than 60% of range.
I'm going to
Did you
take the
add-
over.
Did you add the check for cutoff yet?
Oh,
Yep. I didn't check for cutoff.
I'm going to take the over 60.
Okay. I'm going to take the under 60 and therefore I'm going to take under 59. The price is right, you.
Oh, only under 50.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the thing, it's funny, I've been studying multi-way offline quite a bit, and I have to admit I'm completely lost. But the one thing that I've figured out so far is that betting goes way down in multi-way. I mean, your aggression, your betting, everything is much smaller than you anticipate.
Josh, out of curiosity, what resources are you using to study multi-way?
I mean, I I listened to a lot of Andrew Brokos material, and
Yeah.
he's had some material on that of late. And frankly, his podcast, if you guys subscribe, it's a $5 tier, and I'm not trying to advertise on a different site here, but he has actually had a podcast on this morning that talked about the exact opposite, which is somebody said when you're betting 75% of the range and everything has a mix to bet, why do you check anything? Why can't you just, and his answer for that was fear of check raising. Like, you have a bigger risk of getting check raised. But I don't know the answer here. Like, if you mix down to range check, I don't know what the problem is. Like, what are you missing?
Oh no,
If you
this
range
isn't
check-
close enough to range check.
Yeah.
Do you mean in the cutoff, right?
So the argument is if you pull up a sim and it says bet 85% of time or 80% of time, and you look at every combo, let's say you can only find like one combo or two combos that actually check, but all of them, all the ones that have checks in them also have bets, so they're mixes, right? The question is, why can't you just bet them all? And the answer was on the podcast this morning was the risk is check raising. You're facing too many check raises. You're over frequencing your exposure to check raise. That's the answer. And he apparently they'll be on one of his blogs, which is free on GTO Wizard. He's got an article coming out on this, so I look forward to seeing it. But I asked myself in this case, what's the harm of range checking this? And I don't know the answer.
Well, in
Nothing.
the cutoff, there's no harm. When you are checking this often and you're only betting 7%, if you just simplify this to check range, you're not hurting yourself.
Right.
If you have a board, I mean, imagine the board the other way. If you're betting 100% of the time in a board that can support 93% bets, you're fine.
So I agree with that. I guess the question I would have for both of you guys on that point is you both speak very confidently about that, and I respect both of your games a lot. But is there any authority beyond you that has said the same thing? I mean, can you point to anything?
I get that from watching videos of Jonathan, Matt Affleck, and who else have I heard say that?
Okay, that's helpful.
And
the old coach who used to run the cash sessions, Crazy Sixes, would say that too.
Yeah, and I agree with you, by the way. And by the way, the EV
I
difference
think there's a
the other way
threshold.
around is pretty darn small.
I don't exactly know where the threshold is. Is it 90% and above, and you could say, yeah, you can turn that into a range? Some people start doing it at 85%. And eventually, you're going to reach a threshold where the simplification is going to hurt you more than help you.
And my authority merely comes from my tone of voice.
That's how I do it.
That's
Its
it.
authority comes from Clown College.
Yes. I can't remember. I didn't go to Clown College. I can't remember if I was accepted or not. I think I might have been. Moving on. I remember the audition. I did not do well at the audition. I remember that very much.
I will tell you that my wife, when she was practicing law, used to wear a clown nose when she was really annoyed at someone on the phone, and it helped her keep.
Good. I like that.
Excellent
But
coping mechanism.
here's my belief about.
In front of the judge, did she?
No, it was only on the phone, and I don't know if she ever was talking to a judge. It's a good question, Joey. I'll ask her when she gets home.
So when they were doing a virtual court, there was one where the guy couldn't figure out how to take off the filter that his kid had put on it. So there he was as a cat in court. So here's my thought about where that percentage breakdown is. If you're playing against an actual GTO opponent, it doesn't matter. So if they're going to play strict GTO and not adjust, you could bet all the time or check all the time, and they wouldn't make a change, and your EV is going to be the same, because we've seen the betting and checking EVs being basically the same, maybe between 0.01%, but usually the same in these mixed frequencies. But if you're playing against an opponent who will make an exploit, and you are betting 100% of the time a board that can only support 75%, they can now increase their check raise range and you can't defend enough. So where is that threshold? The threshold is when they notice.
CG has made some really good study streams recently where he's kind of reverse engineered the exploits he's seeing in the 200 blitz pull, and
Mhm.
he's using the AI GT Wizard to do it, and it's extraordinary. There definitely are exploits people have put in place.
Yeah.
Can you tell us any of them?
Yeah, it gets super complicated, but he thinks that some of these he calls them orange tags, and he suspects that these orange tags are potentially using RTA.
Mhm.
And he thinks that the exploits that they're using are driven off of the player's HUD stats. And an easy example is if the orange tags think the player is c-betting at too high a frequency on flop, it will then introduce donks on turn, where GTA Wizard would never have any. However, if you node lock for over c-betting flop, you then see that the GTA Wizard AI version does have donks on that turn.
The
Gotcha.
old Johnny Chan play.
Is that a
Nice.
Johnny Ten play?
I still use this and it works great. When he used to call and donk the turn instead of check raising.
Yeah.
Instead of
And
check raising flop or instead of check raising turn.
instead of check raising the flop, he
Right.
would call the bet, see the card, and then decide to get aggressive.
Gotcha.
Now I don't think it work. I don't think you should go with that 100%. I don't think he did it 100% either. But it is a good tool to mix in sometimes.
You can see the emotion that it does for your opponent.
Especially when you're not supposed to have any donks and like, what the fuck
Yeah.
is this?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So with this board, this is back in the cutoff. We're pretty confident that you can simplify this to checking range on this board. If you want. He checks. Our button. Betting in the button. There's nothing that does it pure, right? Yeah. There's not a hand that is a pure bet. The closest is jacks no.
Top set, maybe?
Yeah, still only, look at that. Oh, it's when you don't have it. That's what it is. So let's go back to relative. There, this is much easier to see it now. Here we go.
Yeah.
Yes, there are.
Okay, so you're
Here's our pures. And I'm going to go back one step to the cutoff here and just look at it that way. Yeah, still same thing. All right. So now we're in the button. All our nines, your top pairs almost all bet, almost pure. King nine being the exception, but here you see over pairs. Love the bet. All sets love the bet. And base like that. And your pure bluffs are your straight draws. Offsuit straight is no. Yeah, just a 10.
So if you were to look at the flush draws real quick, like king, queen suited, is that betting the front door? Yeah, it's betting the front door and the back door.
Front door and back door. And king 10 is enough to bet all of them with that 10. It doesn't need the flush draw. And it bets slightly less without the flush draw. So this violates the thing that we thought of before, which is not wanting to get check raised off of,
Gotcha.
yeah, here. The gut shot doesn't want to get check raised. We thought the gut shot bets more than the hand that has to call.
Yeah.
You know, and that just isn't the case. Okay.
I think the other thing to look at is the made hands that don't bet. So you've got your under pairs, which, you know, could be good against wide ranges.
Yeah. Yep. Your under pair, those are the only ones, really.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, when you hit your ace, you're going to see a lot of, I mean, you can argue that ace is a made hand, and so you're saying that
Hi, Brand.
you're not betting all of them.
Yeah. So it looks like, let me do a quick silence. The person who's got background noise. Okay, so go to Zoom. Participants.
I think it's Brand's iPhone is
I just muted him. There we go. Okay. Brand, you're welcome to unmute whenever you want. Just when you want to say anything, we just muted you because there was background noise. All right. So the thing that in terms of what doesn't bet here, I mean, even your sixes, 7, 6, ace 6 is backed off of it a little bit, but does some betting ace 8, and just all your made hands seem to do mostly betting.
And our second pair wants to bet if it can improve, it looks like.
Yeah. Second
Like
pair.
7-6 can improve.
Oh yeah, 7, 6, which is also the straight draw. 7, 6 is fine. There's your 100% hand. 7, 6 of spades. 7, 8 of diamonds with the back doors make it 100% because
Let's check.
Yeah,
here.
check
Did
raise.
somebody say they had pocket fives on the
In the
board?
big blind.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting learning for me. Like I would normally check back 6, 7
Mhm.
here, which is interesting because it looks like I'm. Oh, what was the 100%? Was it?
100% was in a
How about
set.
8, 7?
I wouldn't check.
How about
check
8, 7? So Joey, 1 second, please. 8, 7. Yeah, so like the 6, 7 bets a lot more than I thought it would because I'm like, I got a made hand here. I don't need to bet the draw. That's kind of how I think about it. And I guess I'm wrong.
Right, but look,
Well,
it doesn't make you do it. 60-40.
Yeah. I thought
the
that
thing
would,
is
I
about
thought that would look a lot more like pocket fives.
third
Joey, you were saying?
pair in a three-way pot has less value than third pair in a heads-up pot. You don't really have much showdown with third pair here.
Yeah, but you'll notice that we're not turning pocket fives, pocket fours, pocket threes into a bluff. So it must think it's got some value in putting that in a check back range. So, but yeah, your point's well taken. That's true. I just, my basic view is, and I'm going to stick by this, although this is one counter example, is if I've got a made hand that could win at showdown and a draw that might be a good bluff, I'm skewing towards treating it as a made hand that could win at showdown, and I get more passive and I look for better draws.
I completely agree with that because that's what I tell a lot of people to do.
Yeah, that's the definite advice from Jonathan in heads up pots. And in multi-way, it's possible that it's also the case, and he's simplifying what we're seeing here with the 6-5, not the 6-5, with the 6-5.
6-5 is 6-5 or even 6-7.
Yeah, he could be choosing to simplify that, or it could be different in multi-way pots. I don't know which it is.
Yeah, let's look. I don't know. I mean, we'll pay attention.
Right. Okay. Big blind, our theory says, does not do a lot of check raising. Does a lot of check folding and check calling. Let's see if that shows up on this board.
Mike has the fives. Whoops, you.
Not. We've never really looked at a lockdown board yet.
Yeah. So here, it's different. I mean, it's only 15%, but that's a lot. That's half of your calls.
And what size is it? Looks like it's like a
You're basically
4x to the
throwing
bet
all of
size.
your hands in a checking range, so you've got really good hands to raise with.
Yeah.
1194,
Where does it say the amount?
right there. Raised to 1194, right?
Oh, there it is, raised to 1194, yeah. So just under 4x? Yeah, 4x. Okay,
So what val, so is it the yellow is the raise here? Is that what it
yellow
is?
is the raise.
So you're raising, what are you raising?
It's
Hard
a
to tell because there's flush draws here that are not, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
On your offsuit branch, you are raising these straight draws.
I kind of start with what's the value? What's the bottom of your value? range?
Bottom of the value range. Not really doing it with any sixes very often. Straight,
Offset has no interest in slow playing the multi-way pot.
none.
Well, they are just calling with Jack 9, Queen 9, King 9. So it's not single top pair.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a mix, but obviously a sliver mix.
Yeah.
So I think you're getting, you really got to be two pair or better. So the 9-8 is raising, if I recall. Some. Your sets are raising.
Yep, but take a look
I just want to know what
look at
made
how
it.
often they
So-
don't. Look at how often the sets don't raise. Crazy.
I wish we knew equity owner. I
Yeah.
mean, so that's not trap. Obviously, that's not a trap because 9-9 is check raising full.
Mhm.
So there must be a significant reduction in the value of the set multi-way as we can assume.
Well, okay, so I think the observation that I would make about 986 is actually it's a made straight board.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be part of it. But why the nines then?
Well, because you're going to raise
Nines is never
Point
a
is-
set over set. Set under set. Eights and sixes are sometimes set under set.
Yeah.
I mean, look
Yeah,
at it.
so I
Linear.
think that's right. I mean, but the point is you're getting a little bit careful on all of these because of, I mean, I don't know what made straight actually these, I mean, 7-5 isn't really in range. I guess it is in some of these guys' ranges, right?
Certainly in the big blind range.
And 10-7 is in range. So you have to be, this is not, you're even your nines, your set of nines is not the nuts.
Yeah.
That's the point I'm making.
Yeah.
Which moderates everything.
And your straights your straight does a fair amount of check raising, but not all of it. There's still some slow playing going on. Yeah. But your sets are linear. And I think we're going to see that even on a non-straight board. We'll do a non-straight board next, but that's still in this region. I think we're still going to see linear on the sets.
Yeah.
Top pairs sometimes, and your gut shots need a spade. Gut shot with a spade. That's all you need to check raise.
Interesting. So do we see any heuristic around marginal hands here, like second pair, third pair?
Yeah.
It looks like,
The heuristic is call.
well, it looks like third pair is folding unless it can improve. Is that what you guys are picking up?
Yeah. Yeah. You need a spade. You need a spade to call. You need a spade. 9-6 is a two pair.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what it is.
but then
Yeah, I mean, so to be
Second
clear,
pair never folds.
but
when I
second
say
pair is good enough.
giving up
Okay,
a
this is
top
interesting.
pair or a second pair.
So I
Well, just
think all of, I mean, I would fold second pair that can improve it. Like I would fold king 8 of hearts, but it does call that. So it does have this interesting threshold at
Yeah.
third pair, second pair.
Yep.
And it really protects its calling range. You know, you can call with second pair when you can threaten to have these hands. Here. Okay. So we'll do a call and see what this does to the cutoff range. And then we'll do it with a fold. Cutoff now, after a call, cutoff folds your second pairs a lot.
Yeah, so this goes to what I've been thinking about a lot lately, which is how to look at this. So on the plus side, he's closing the action because he's the last act here. On the bottom side is he saw two people who were willing to put money in the pot, which is a lot more significant than one person.
Yep.
Especially if it's the button, because he's got an incentive to bluff, right? So I think the call so my theory on this is that you're going to see a lot more calls with the second pairs by the cutoff once you fold the big blind.
Yep, we're gonna look at that. So our total and relatively, just look, he does have 10-7. No, 7-5. I wouldn't call 10-7 suited on the button, but he did. And he does it a lot.
No, he opened
It's also
10-7.
interesting.
He
Oh,
opened
this is
10-7
cutoff.
in the
I'm
cutoff.
sorry. Cutoff. Yeah. Okay, I would do that. All right. So we'll take a look what happens with the big blind fold. But his sets, pure raise, sixes, I don't think he's trapping. I think he's being careful.
I agree.
Yeah.
And the overpairs, just almost no raising. A little bit reverse linear on the tens and the jacks. 9.
Well, and so this is another takeaway that I kind of process a lot. I think it may have been Mike, it may have been Larry about heuristics is the when you have pocket sixes, you unblock the 7, like 9-7. And so you do run so in addition to being behind the sets, the over sets, you are also you have equity, you have good equity, but you are exposed to the straights and the straight draws more when you have sixes.
Yeah.
9-7, 10, I mean, it's just that's another thing that can go wrong is they can make their straight on the turn.
Yeah. And Brand, yeah, we're gonna look at that next, Brand. We're gonna look at a non-straight board that's still low. That'll be the next board we look at here.
I kind of said that wrong. So let me just rephrase. The heuristic is when you're facing a situation where you're crushed or facing someone who's betting a draw with decent equity, you're in a bad spot because you're never crushing. You're either crushed or only in okay shape.
Or marginally ahead.
Yeah, marginally ahead.
Are there any hands that, or maybe the way to put it is, what are the example combos here of hands that the majority of us would fold seeing this betting line that we see solvers call? Because I think the solvers as a whole calling at a greater proportion a lot of us would here.
These 8s that it does sometimes I'm folding 100%.
Yeah, these second pairs.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, with diamonds. Yeah, you
Second
need
pair
diamonds.
backdoor, second pair
Yeah.
backdoor. You need the
Yeah, let's
backdoor.
see. Yeah.
You really need to have the ability to improve.
And same thing here. You need the back door.
What's up with AC at
Front
all?
door. Front door. Oh, these have to be front door. Yes?
Yeah.
And the bluff that I'm not gonna find here. So his bluffs are all spades.
Yeah, I'd find all the spades.
I'm just shocked that ace isn't calling more. I think somebody just said that.
That what
Yeah.
isn't calling more?
Ace 8 is not calling more. Like if you asked about what,
Yeah, second pair.
yeah.
Second
It's
pair that can't
giving a
pay.
lot of credence to the
think-
fact that two people put money in the pot before you.
I reckon it just needs. It needs to be able to improve the hand.
So overall,
mean- Before we were looking at this for the past 2 weeks, I kind of used to see top pair, like what the board is showing
Mhm.
second pair to be.
Yeah, and we're gonna look at that if that starts folding on the turn, Joey, in a pot like this. But first, I want to go back now and make the
Big blind folds.
big blind fold.
So here I think the second pairs are gonna call out more.
Yeah,
Our calling frequency went up to 57% overall from 51, and now every second pair.
And I mean, I know I'm kind of beating a drum here, so I'll try to stop, but let me say it just one more time, which is there's 100% difference between one better and two. One person putting money in the pot and two. And my takeaway from this is that it's massively different when that second guy calls.
Yeah. Contested
here-
pots. We've talked a lot about contested pots in the past.
And here you see the simplification. Every second pair calls, every
What
third
I-
pair calls.
I'm also surprised to see there's very little check raising now from the cutoff.
Mm-hmm. Less check raising, right?
So
That is-
the incentive for the big blind, well, let me ask you, Joey, what's the difference in incentive between the big blind and the cutoff? That makes the big blind check raise more.
No, the cutoff had more check raises when the big blind called.
Yeah,
So the obvious answer is
Oh, yeah.
equity denial, right?
yeah, looking at,
That it's being driven by equity denial.
oh, we're on the flop. Check, check.
Well,
bet.
I think there's a reason for that. I mean, one is like bluffing into two people is more than twice as challenging as bluffing into one.
Yeah.
And he has no need to push out someone behind him, which is why the big blind may check raise sometimes, even though he is bluffing into two people.
No, but look at this. After a
When
bet
the-
and a call, his check raising percentage is 10%.
Three
It was
times.
three-
bigger. Yeah.
It was 3% with a bet and a fold.
Yeah, I never would have thought of that.
Yeah, I mean, do you guys think that this is driven by a desire to deny equity? I can't think of any other reason why the check raise.
Well, it definitely looks like it's being built around 10-7 and pocket nines. So
Yeah.
it's 10-7 was only check raising half of the time with one player. I think it's saying that when now there's two players interested, you can just go ham with your nuts.
Top
Yeah.
of range.
C-
But then
you're-
it's
you're
gotta have
expecting somebody to stay in the hand with you.
That's valid. That's a valid point.
Sorry,
Yeah.
guys.
And then here, the bluffs are really high equity bluffs. Up and down straight draw with a flush draw.
Yeah, but then it's gotta have bluffs to go with. If it's gonna
Yeah.
check raise its value with such a high frequency,
Yeah.
it's gotta balance that, right?
And it's, happy to bluff it into two players. Here, it's top pair, but it's top pair with a backdoor spade and the
Gut
gut
shot.
shot. Yeah,
But it's also two ways going the other way. It had open or back door to the jack queen combo.
yep. Gut shot and a good backdoor straight.
Multi-way,
Multi-way.
what a
All right.
beast.
Now we're gonna take this to the turn contested. Because we want to see what the top pairs do to another bet. Okay, so we call with our top pair. And the turn is going to be a blank in this case. Actually, turn's gonna be a super blank.
That's fine. Easy place to start.
I don't think our minds would be able to wrap up like a 10 of spades.
Oh, yeah. And so now with this, big blind can donk?
That
Whoa.
doesn't make sense at all. Without seeing this, I would have said he should check range.
Yeah,
And what's the pot?
the pot is, everybody put in, his pot is 9, should be about 13 and a half. 15.9. I can't estimate pots.
So it's a pot-sized bet too when he bets.
Yeah, that we have found, is that the options here have been pot and 2 pot. They're crazy big on the turn. When 2 players have interest. Now we're gonna do, what we're gonna get is we're gonna get check, check, bet on the button again. He's gonna bet again and see now what you do with top pairs. But you can still check a straight. He's checking top set pure for the things he didn't check raise. And now he goes reverse linear on his sets.
Interesting.
After that action. He checks. Cut off. There's your no donk range.
Middle of the sandwich.
Right. He checks. And what does the bet button continue with? The button will still bluff. And he'll bluff, yeah, the bluff with the spade, I guess blocking. And blocking continues.
Can you, I don't like absolute view very much, but can you just click that real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just never have it. That's what it is. That's what it is. You never have it.
All right, you can go back to relative.
Yeah, that's the point. You just don't have it. He continues with top pairs. After not getting raised, he continues the top pairs here.
This is another reverse linear.
Yeah,
And it's, so. Is it me or, it looks like he's continuing with the combos that could easily improve here.
I didn't hear the last words of your sentence. You kind of dropped off.
It looks like he is, betting pure, it's reverse linear, cause like the 10-9 can improve on a 7.
What about
So
the
he's
Jack-9?
betting that.
Jack-9 can't.
Yeah, you're right.
So I'm absolutely stunned that Queen 9 bets and Ace 9 doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand that.
Me either.
I wonder if it has something to do with. I don't know.
I mean, I understand why.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's see how
What
often
about
we have it.
blocking the open ender? What about blocking continues?
Nope, that's not one.
Have them about the same rate.
Yeah, I was gonna look at, I thought it might be that, but no, it's not that.
That's weird.
The thing I can say, I put it back on absolute for the 10s, that we have enough of them at the same frequency. The 10s want to bet a spade because the spade is gonna get, it blocks them from having spade draws. And without a spade, you get, that makes no sense though. So without a spade, you're saying, I want to make it easy for you to hit your spade on the river. And with a spade, you go, oh, good, you don't have a spade draw, I bet it. I don't understand that at all.
So I think the reason why you like a spade in your hand is you, in addition to reducing the risk that they're on a draw, the fact that they called the flop makes it that they're more like they have some sort of made hand. Like they call with either a draw or a made hand. So they have a made hand. So it's more likely, and your tens are in pretty good shape against single pair made hands, right? Nine, ace nine.
Okay.
Ace. So I think that's why.
There's one other reason. It could be Joey. Yeah.
All right. If you go back to just basics of in a heads up pot when you bet, do you remember the city graph thing that
Mhm.
Larry likes to look at?
Yeah. That and
Um,
porn.
Matt Affleck has stated basically in his mind when he thinks when we have value bets is when the hand has like 65% equity or more.
Mm-hmm.
It won't have 65% equity on a three-way pot, but there has to be like a minimum equity requirement to have a value bet. And it's possible that the 10-10s with a spade have just slightly enough more equity that is the dividing line between what has enough equity to bet for value and what does not.
Okay, that makes sense. Because when you have a spade, it reduces the equity in the other player's hands. There's one other thing it does,
And
which
it gives you more fold equity.
the other thing is also, do you want to bloat the pot against a flush draw?
No.
Right. And your spade and these tens, while they're ahead, don't want the pot to be that much bigger. They'd like the other person to put money in, but they would like that money not to go into the pot.
No, I
Oh,
agree.
we are looking at the button now. Yeah, so he can check
Yeah.
behind and see the
Yeah.
river card for cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Okay. We got that. Okay.
Yeah, because when we go back to GTO Wizard and when we look at the city graph, a lot of times it will be somewhere around 65% is where somewhere around there is where the equity cutoff is for a value bet versus check.
right. These bottom pairs that are betting, they're also flush draws. This bottom pair, the 6-7 is also a straight draw when it bets.
And it's so interesting. That's to me is one of the biggest takeaways here.
Yeah.
I check those all day long.
I wonder if the ace six what it will do on river here.
But here's the
If it
crazy,
misses.
ace 8 is enough to bet into two players again. No. No, it's not.
So when you scroll over that,
Wait.
and I see all this yellow. What was that? Not a bet?
Yellow's a bet.
So are you saying the little green in the ace eight of diamonds is what you're pointing out?
That's the only check. I'm saying that this is not, I disagree. I don't want to bet ace 8 in two without us,
I agree with you. I mean, I'm checking this back too. It's the same thing. It's like,
yeah, this
Not
seems,
only is it a bet, it's a pot size bet, multi-way.
yeah.
But
I can accept this. I can accept betting the 9-8, but this,
we don't know if
No.
that because we don't see any equity or EV. We don't know if ace 8 is being turned into a bluff
mm-hmm,
that's a
because
point, Joe.
if it I'm sorry, if it doesn't have enough equity, it makes a good bluff because it blocks middle set.
yeah, and two pair. Right. So on a bet now, pot size bet.
So, okay.
You just bet ace 8, by the way, just so you know. We are folding to a check raise.
Ladies, we have shoves.
Look at that pretty purple on hands that make no sense at all.
So is the purple the jam?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, we got to see this absolute because we just can't have these very often.
No, they
Yeah,
don't
okay,
have
these are fine. We just never have them. So Don't lose your mind on that.
You have that jam. So you've got your sixes jams, your eights jams. You say your sets jam.
Does it make,
That's
does it make sense to go through hand class here? So what is his,
No.
what are his straights doing?
Jamming.
So straights look like they're, let me see,
Can-
so.
Can you put it back on relative if we're going through hand class?
yeah.
So 10-7 is jamming.
7-5, which you never have, is jamming.
And then what about sets? Jamming.
9s,
They're all-
jam, jam, all of them. Now it's time to jam.
What about T pair? 9-8 mixes.
Mixes, but it's raising both.
Right.
It's still raising, just mixes the sizing.
8-6 is mixing, raise call.
And 9-6 is mixing, jam call.
Is he folding any type pair to this kind of pressure? He is. So he's
Up.
folding his,
All
Top
single
pair.
pair hands.
Yeah,
gone.
he's getting out of the pairs.
There you go. There it is, Joey.
It's just a very polarized fold or jam range with the exception of the nut flush draws, I think.
Yeah.
And the king high flush draw
With a pair.
with a pair.
is he folding the other FD? So is he folding like ace-7 of spades in?
We're folding ace-3. Yeah.
Ace-3 spades.
Yeah, all
Okay,
these
so he's
pairs.
folding nut flushes to this size.
Yeah.
For someone to act, still to act.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
I think if this was heads up, these are calls. In solver.
And the ace-2 that calls, you never have it. Also, look at how often you don't even have these.
You're not getting it.
Yeah, you didn't get here with them. So. Yeah, that's why I want to look at, stay on absolute for a second. Just,
Sure.
we're never having those.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. It's jam or fold.
Yeah, the raises are. Your raise is 1.6%. Yeah. Jam or fold, your calls are almost non-existent.
Yeah, because your pair plus draw, with the exception of the 6, I'm sorry, your pair plus nut flush draw only can be the ace-6.
Yeah.
Because the other ones are blocking that,
Yeah, the others are spades.
on the board.
So you get very tight here. There's your folding top pair, but not on the flop to the 2.6, Joey. That's the difference that we're seeing here.
So, like, the way I take away, I don't mean, I'm sure you're talking to Joey, so Joey, I don't know if you had a reaction. I don't want to jump in.
No.
Okay, so I try to, like, the way I would operationalize this is like, okay, I bet flop and it got called and I'm still willing to put money in. So I saw somebody willing to show up. I'm still willing to put in. If he's reading me, which he's doing, this is the big blind responding, right?
Yeah.
We're looking at the big blind response. I think you're like, you pick your line, whatever it is, and you either go with it completely or you fold. And the line in this case is sets.
And
No,
Brad
2 pair.
said 10-8 as a bluff. I don't know what you're referring to, Brad. The 10-8 isn't there.
Because you're in the button right now.
Oh, did I do that? I should be.
Should be on the big blind.
That's
That's
what I think that's what he meant. Wasn't he talking about the button?
No,
No,
He was talking about,
we're on the big blind. You had
okay,
the
back on
button
the big
bet.
blind, that was a 10-8. Yes.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Well, that's a straight. So I said your line is
No, it's
set,
not.
so you're
No, it's
straight.
not. No, 10-8's a bluff. It's
Oh,
second pair.
okay.
Second pair with the
Look,
straight.
look at 8-6. 8-6 is kind of when you see it being indifferent to raise or call.
That's the
kind of
comfort
where
value, probably.
the value cutoff is.
Right.
Fair enough.
Well, value cutoff.
So it's bottom 2. That's weird. I wouldn't have picked that. I would
Well, I
have.
think, yeah, I mean.
And
I
top
would-
bottom,
hands
same.
that can
I think I
improve
go
on
with
fold.
top 2 here.
Scotty, go up to ace six and king six. Make sure that's only spades.
It's only spades. It's only
Okay.
spades.
Yeah.
That's all you have.
Yeah,
So
I
just to
thought
be
that
really
might be
clear,
the case, but I
despite the
just wanted
fact
to
that the
verify.
solver found two bluffs, I don't even think you need to find the bluffs here.
Yeah, there are situations where we've even seen it with solver. We did see a range where the solver had no bluffs.
We did,
But
yeah.
in real life, there are a lot of situations where I think you don't need to have any bluffs. If it goes raise, if it's pre-flop and goes raise, re-raise, 4-bet, I don't think you need any 5-bet bluffs there. I don't think you need to jump in with your ace 5 suited there and be adorable.
Can you scroll over the bottom, like the 5-4s, 5? Are they spades too?
Yep.
Okay,
You're-
so they're all
You're not here,
flush
and you
draws,
don't,
no shoving.
and you don't have these.
Yeah, if you go and look at how many you have, you've got, you have one
Oh,
of
I
those.
know, but
One of
Yeah.
those.
one or
at
two
least for
times you do
Sunday.
have it, it's only a
Yeah.
flush draw that's shoving.
Only a flush draw, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That
again, I
makes
think that the
sense.
real message here is, when the message is, I bet I saw you cold call and I bet again, do you really think your top pair is good there? The answer is no.
Right. No. And not for a pot size bet and not with a player behind you. So we fold. Now, here's the fold. And now cutoff. What does cutoff think of his top pairs?
Indifferent at ace 9.
Yeah, doesn't like them. Loves overpairs still. One pair overpair is fine.
Yeah.
And no check raises when the big blind folds.
Well, and so like this is another takeaway. You just made a really interesting and important point, which is these overpairs are sticking around. And when I look at a board this wet, I'm sticking around with my overpairs. There's just so much going on here.
Right.
And it's a middling wet, so it's not even like there's these two pairs are less likely. They're there,
Right.
but they're less likely than if it was a Broadway wet.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta hang out with jacks, even though I don't love it.
Well,
Yeah.
I wish they had two sizings here.
it
I mean-
also depends.
This is resulting in a very polarizing
Yeah.
strat with this pot size.
Yeah.
And we
That's a
see- we know
weakness
in-
too. But
we
I
know
think
in the
it also
wild,
it depends on the better, because we're sticking around with ace 9 and pocket 10s and pocket jacks with. Well, I can see pocket 10s, especially with a spade.
Yeah.
Jacks, queens, and kings against somebody who he did bet second pair for value. But
And
if we're against a population where they're not going to bet second pair for double barrel, then I think we have to start reevaluating how valuable pocket jacks are here.
but also, Joey, in the wild, this bet is often not a pot size bet. This bet, even at a
Right,
polarized
yeah.
side,
Yeah,
It's much
that's
more-
also a different. If they only bet half pot,
yeah. Which we see all the time. We see third pot there on the turn all the time.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised at that too. Like that has not come up in my studies. And I know that like multi-way on the flop, you're using a much smaller bet sizing than you normally do. You frequently skew towards smaller bet sizes. And now on the turn, he just goes ape shit. I didn't know that. I mean,
And that's programmed into this solver. That's every board that we've seen. We haven't seen a single board where
oh yeah. So this isn't like DTO where they gave the solver 100 bets and they came up with this, or 5-7 bets.
somebody decided this was the right thing to do strategically, and let's evaluate it.
Yeah.
Every
So
second
I
pair
guess I can't
fold.
think that's not a takeaway then, right? I mean, if you
Well,
if-
the takeaway is that, and that's the call. We don't get to a river.
don't restart yet, please.
I'm not,
On this board, I was really curious if we could go back to the flop and make the button check. What the big blind range is.
Okay.
If it checks through.
now we're figuring out it. So here we go. So we're on this. So it's gonna go check, check, check.
Yep.
We could do the
Uh,
same card. The two
blank
of clubs.
turn.
Oh, wait, look.
The world of betting.
Oh, wait, no. I was gonna say we got an $8 bet now too, but that is pot.
Yeah,
Already
pots.
pot 2x.
Eh, we're not betting that much.
Out of position 25%.
24% of the time. That's a lot.
I
Huh?
think that's a lot.
After it goes check, check, check.
Out of position into two people.
I mean, we do have the straight.
Hmm.
I think if 10-7 was not in range, we might have fewer bets. But this was a good board for the big blinds range.
Yeah. So we come in, we now bet most top pairs. The weird queen nine. I can explain it, but I mean, I can justify it. I can't explain it. Which is,
Top set is checking almost.
yep,
That looks like at least 90%.
yep. And now the bottom, now we get a little reverse linear with the middle and bottom set. On the nines, ace nine is good enough, I guess, to cooler an ace. King nine bets, jack nine also has a straight draw. No, but jack nine has a backdoor straight draw, the queen nine doesn't. So that's why it's not betting. Is my explanation. Bet all our sevens.
And then
No
all the other
sixes.
ones look like reasonable draws.
Yeah, this craziness here
As
is
we
also,
move from one hand to the other, Scotty, I have a question for you. It's
Yeah.
semi off topic, so when we're done here.
okay,
Yeah, we can move on. I just wanted to see this node really
okay.
quick.
No, that was a good thing to look at, Joey. So my question is, I've skewed towards GTO Wizard, not DTO. I see that DTO has a multi-way, three-way thing that you're doing.
That's why we're using it. That's why we're using it.
I mean, so you subscribe there? Do you subscribe to that
I subscribed for the month.
for the month?
So,
Yeah, that's probably
yeah.
good. I
Yeah,
mean,
this
I'm
is our
not.
multi-way March Madness month.
Oh yeah, it is multi-way March Madness. I don't know if you're joking, but it feels that way in the casino.
That's why we're doing it. Okay, so this is the thing that Brad was asking about and makes sense. Same board texture, except it's no straights available. See how much it changes. Big blind, check range, right? Yes. We got that.
Good job, Mike. That's my joke. It's my
Yes.
joke
Yes.
theme.
No mistakes yet.
No mistakes. No mistakes on the first act node.
And we were checking 93% on the last board.
Yeah,
Checking
Even more.
It's another,
Even
we
more.
can simplify the check range.
yeah. This is a check range.
Yeah.
There's no reason to do anything else but this here. And now the button jumps in.
Again, he's going to be under 50%. Well, actually, hold on.
Roughly around,
I
jumped up.
You went too quick.
Yeah,
I think
so-
you don't have to worry about the straights. You know, you've got a lot more incentive because these guys are not going to. They have much less of an incentive to keep going. So
Yeah.
you have an opportunity here.
There's so many fewer draws for them to have.
Yeah.
So you lose your mind on this.
yeah.
Just go absolute just for a moment. There's nothing here that's just a sliver. So everything we're looking at makes sense.
That's what I was kind of
Doesn't-
anticipating on the last board, but you're right, because of the locked up equity, the mage straight drove it down.
And I do think it's
Up.
whether you're heads up or multi-way, if you look
Yeah.
at the differences in frequencies between when, you know, there's a straight draw or a made straight, the difference between those two realities is dramatic.
Yes.
Oh, Scotty,
Yes,
I am so curious. I had a thought before we even started looking at three-way solvers, that the big blind range here will be an amalgamation of big blind versus cutoff heads up and big blind versus, or I mean, button versus cutoff heads up and button versus big blind heads up.
yeah, we'll take, here, we can actually, we can see the range. After we bet, we can look at it real quick.
Oh, but the button rate, oh, it would
Yeah.
not work for button versus big blind because the ranges would be different if the cutoff was not involved.
The big blind range against the cutoff raise button call, I think is slightly tighter than against the cutoff, but not much.
Yeah, it wouldn't be as significant as the
Mm.
call range versus the open range of button versus.
Yeah.
Yes, that's not going to help.
Yeah, but let's just live on this for a moment, shall we? On the ace four, going for the bluff into two players, even without, even without hearts. I'm sorry, there are no hearts, even without diamonds. Diamonds is the back door. You don't need it. You can bluff back door and front door with the 6. Same thing with the 7. I see no justification for this increased frequency with ace 7 over ace 6. Oh, I guess because the 7 can pick up, the 6 can only pick up a gut shot. And when it picks up a 7, it's only the ignorant end, whereas the 7 can pick up a 6 on the turn. So that makes sense. That's better. Second pair, betting pure.
But a 7 has more turns that will allow it to
Yeah.
continue too.
Yeah, that's what I just,
10, 6, 5.
Yep, it has more turns and more of them are, and more of them give you a better,
And
Uh,
it is backdoor, so either the front door flush
Yeah.
comes in or the backdoor flush
right.
gives you more continues.
Second pair is enough to bet. Every top pair bets, every over pair bets. Basically, every up and down straight with 2 overs. Every gut shot checks back a tiny bit, not much. Queen jack this. So these are pure for, simplification terms. King 10 is enough. That's dramatic.
Yes.
And king
Well,
jack.
it's 2 overs and a backdoor.
Had 2 overs and a back door. That's enough. Into 2 players.
Yeah, but
Ace
look,
jack.
this board's actually kind of dry.
It's not dry because with the 9-8,
Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily nail the cutoff range.
no, doesn't do that. And the cutoff has the cutoff has the offsuit 10s. Cutoff has queen 10, jack 10, king 10. At full frequency. So it's got hands with equity that would be nice to get it to fold. Two overs and a backdoor. Yeah, it does have a backdoor straight to the crazy nuts. And it's enough to just have a single heart with your king queen. That's a lot of betting. Big blind now, no straights available. So I think the big blind check raises more often than it did in the other solve.
No, I would say less
Oh,
often.
well, you're
As in
right.
never.
It never does it. There's the never check raise. Okay, so the simplification here is gonna be without the made straight, without, the uber nuts that you have, big blind just doesn't check raise. So the big blind might check raise on a monotone board, on a made straight board, maybe on a paired board. But on all the other boards, I'm gonna make the guess that it never check raises when we do our next thing. Big blind calls. And now the cutoffs check raises. Pure on the fours. Close to pure on the eights, pure on the nines. So check raises all its sets. 9-8 for the two pair. That's the only two pair it has. None of its top pairs. Ace-9 is in their sum. Offsuit never.
But the diamonds is pure calling with ace-9.
Yeah.
And it looks like the second pair might start to be indifferent. That's why it has more mixed frequencies with maybe turning it into a bluff or calling for.
Yeah. Backdoor
all of
straight or
those
backdoor
raises are
straight
with
draw.
hearts.
Okay. There we go. So that's real. That's what it is. The surprise to me here is this. So ace-9 goes for a check raise when it doesn't have the back door. Right? It wants to protect its backdoor equity. But here, when you don't have a back door, you don't go for it either.
Yeah.
Slivers. Yeah, that's just
And well, the top pair equity can't be any different.
right.
So it kind of has to say that ace-9 is just kind of marginal on.
Mhm. If you have, well, here's the thing. So with the ace-9, you can do a sliver of raising. I mean a sliver of raising when you have the ace of hearts, when you have the back door to go with it. So, if you get 3-bet off this, you're unhappy with it, but it's the opposite here. Here's a backdoor that never raises, but here's two that have no backdoor equity, and they do some raising. Ace-9, all the hands that have no backdoor equity, which is basically the same hand value, never raises. But the one with the little backdoor equity does. It's not an important difference, but it is definitely a difference I don't understand.
Well, having a backdoor to the front door straight is different than having a backdoor to the backdoor straight.
Flush. Okay, I'll accept that.
Flush.
I'll accept that, but now justify these.
I can't numerically justify it in my head
Mhm.
yet, but I think that thought is going to lead somewhere. Like maybe having some of them in your call range matters too. Because when a third heart comes off, now you can
You can bluff it if you want to.
bluff it on the turn, and maybe depending on the action, continue on the river.
Right. And when it comes in on the river, you get called by nothing except the king of hearts and the queen of hearts. People are doing all kinds of folding to you, so it doesn't have as much value to get there. I'll accept that. But what I can't understand is this difference. Every ace-9 that has no backdoor value checks 100% of the
call it.
time. Fine. Every ace-9 that has no backdoor value bets a lot of the time. That's what I can't understand. And I'm okay not understanding it, but I don't understand it.
Well, sometimes the solvers just pick hand. Remember what Josh said earlier? sometimes it's just a frequency thing where they were supposed to bet or check raise, what, 13% or something based on numbers. And that's just some of the hands that it's picking to put into that range to fill out that frequency target.
Yes. With all due respect, I think you're saying words now. What turn would you like though, Joey? Because you said words, so you get to pick the turn. Brand says maybe because you don't have much equity to realize anyway, and most of your equity comes from stealing pots. You don't care, bet folded off the hand. Yeah, no, all that's true, Brand, but it doesn't explain the difference. And the reason that I'm accusing or complimenting Josh on Joey on just saying words there is the solver, when it wants to distribute equity amongst a hand class, doesn't simplify things and go, well, I'll do it with the suited, but not the offsuit. The solver just distributes it across the whole thing because it doesn't mind giving 1% equity, 1% of an action around. And it didn't distribute it into the offsuit branch the way I logically thought it would. So obviously I'm missing something. So I'm unsatisfied by either of the explanations, but I'm also satisfied with not knowing right now.
Well,
What's the turn, Joey?
with the suited type, we know that the backdoor is calling and it has more equity. So maybe in the suited branch, the non-backdoor has slightly less equity, but what is it, like 2%, 3%?
You mean that it
What's the
raises?
percentage? What's the extra percentage a backdoor flush draw adds? Is it
Oh,
1.4 or
I think it's
something?
3%.
yeah, it's like one out. So 3, 4, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could see it if you put it
Yeah.
into a, like,
We got
equity
you.
calculator, it's 3%.
But also, it's harder to make the same rational conclusions with this tool than it is with GTO Wizard, where we can start looking at equity or EV and all the extra tools that GTO Wizard gives us. We can keep going through and it's like, oh, there it is.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
we can't
sometimes-
dive down and understand mechanics as much as we'd like. That's true.
There are times you can realize that they're splitting hairs and you can see it in the EV. And I think that's what Joey's saying. And it's harder to see it here. I didn't follow the whole conversation, so I can't comment on the offsuit side of this comment.
Right. So it's 9 divided by 47 cards we don't know, times 9 divided by 46 cards we don't know, gets there. 3.7. There we go. That's the rough thing. There we go. So yeah, it's not one out of 20, Brand. But the approximation is, you're 5%. Here we're at 4%. So we guessed 4%. It's 3.7. We guessed 4. We're close enough, and 5 is not terrible.
Yeah. Okay. So I do have a comment on that, which is we're on the flop still, right?
Yeah.
Which is you're not only getting there, you're getting to the ability to have a flush draw and the ability to do all sorts of stuff with that flush draw. So it's not just realizing your equity on the river that these backdoors make difference.
Right.
The ability to bluff, if you will, with a flush draw on the turn is a factor. So there's more value to a backdoor than just its equity.
Right. And this is the part that you missed, that we're
Yeah.
going to move on
You
from.
see,
I keep saying, but I keep going back to it, which is this.
Ace-9 suited with
Hey,
the
Joey,
backdoor.
let Scotty finish, man.
Okay.
Oh, I'm explaining what he's doing.
Yep, you can explain it.
Ace-9 suited with the backdoor is pure calling. Ace-9 off with the backdoor is raising some
hold on.
frequency.
No,
And pure
it's
calling
the opposite.
others.
It's the opposite, Joey. It's Ace-9 suited without the backdoor raises a good amount.
Right. And
30
Ace-9 with the backdoor is pure calling.
Right, but the difference between the backdoor calls is not the extreme difference. It's the raises.
Right.
Here you say, I don't have a backdoor, so I'm gonna raise it 39% of the time.
And
Here,
it's opposite with the ace nine off.
right, here you say, I don't have a backdoor, I'm never gonna raise it. That's extreme. The fact that here, when I've got a backdoor, I raise it less often, I only raise it a sliver, and here I can raise it. I don't raise it at all. That difference I accept, because the difference of what it looks like coming in, it's the offsuit branch that I don't understand why they're different. I'm sorry, it's the raising branch that I don't understand why they're different. And now we'll move on, because I've just butchered it also. I've said it just as badly as I thought I was.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a real nuance that we probably
Yeah.
don't need.
Yep, but that's what we were discussing, and now we're moving on.
Ah.
All right, so here we get the fold. And what is our turn?
Oh, let's go
Well-
crazy. Put a 10 of hearts on.
All right. 10 of hearts. All right,
Now the big blind, in my mind, the big blind should have some dunks.
right, let's go, Johnny. Lots.
So what's it donking for value?
Queen, jack.
Hearts, not every heart. Hearts and middle pair. Ah. Hearts.
Is like the ace two only the hearts?
Hearts are,
They
all,
fold it.
all of this is only hearts, and it's not pure hearts, but you do a lot of betting. You just donk out your hearts.
So
A
you
lot.
donk your flush. What about your other hand classes? So I
Right.
see the
It-
sets mix.
Check, Scotty, can you check
Yeah.
queen, jack offsuited to see if there's any suit relation to there?
Yeah, it's crazy. It likes the jack of hearts and hates the queen of hearts.
Well, it likes anything but the queen of hearts. I guess what they're saying is
Yeah.
the queen of hearts is enough equity to,
To check.
because
Yeah.
it's betting more often without a heart,
Mm-hmm.
betting slightly less often with the jack of hearts, and not betting with the queen of hearts.
Yeah. It doesn't want the queen of hearts to get raised, and the jack of hearts getting raised is not a disaster.
What do our nines and eights do? What are some
And,
top
and
sets?
look at the difference, by the way, look at the difference between queen 10 and an actual straight draw. Oh no, they're both a straight draw. Look at the difference between queen
No,
jack and
queen,
queen
jack
10.
is a straight.
No, queen 10 is a
8,
pair.
9, 10, 8,
Oh,
9,
we have a
10.
straight.
Yeah, that's a straight.
I thought we were bluffing. No. Yeah. You don't donk all your straights.
Well, because you have so many flushes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I hate this term, but you're protecting your checking range with some strong hands.
No, you're allowed to protect your checking range. You're, what was the term you weren't allowed to do? You're not allowed to bet to find out where you are. And you're not allowed to, oh no, you can't bet to protect, but you're allowed to protect your checking range by putting cards in it.
Well, so that's what
Oh,
he's
no.
doing.
No, you can bet to protect.
No, it's that term saying, why am I betting out? And you say, I want to protect my,
Yeah. So
Yeah, basically
I think the bottom line is when you have a bunch of flushes, your straights can be considered a little bit closer to marginal made.
yeah,
and then look at the bottom end of the straight, the 7-6. The
Yeah.
flush is betting pure, the others are
Yeah.
mixing.
and your 7-5 of hearts is not betting. So your these small hearts here. 5-3 does,
I think that
7-5
makes sense because you can protect that range a little bit because I mean if you face a check raise on bottom pair and a flush draw, sorry, bottom straight and a flush draw, you're probably going to flat that. Whereas if you face it without the flush draw, it's a little bit more tenuous.
These tiny flushes all bet. And then here's your bluffs. Bottom pair
Yeah,
is a
I
bluff.
think if we can look into ranges, we have more flushes than the button does here.
That makes sense. We called a lot of suited stuff and not a lot of offsuit stuff. Oh, that was the other thing to look at, on the one step earlier. Before the turn. This is what it was. It went check, check, bet, call, and now on my little ace nine nonsense, I forgot to see how often do we have it. Does that make a difference? Nope, that's not the justification either. I still don't know.
Scotty, we're allowed to go through a spot where we don't know the answer,
Yep, that's what we just did.
and we can just let it go.
I'm letting it go. I'm letting it go.
Breathe.
Breathe, let it go. Let it go.
Oh, you didn't.
I did. So, when donked into, the button does very, very little raising. Ace king, ice king is with a heart, obviously. That's the bluff.
And a king.
Oh,
Right.
and they only have the bottom end of the straight.
Yeah.
And they have they actually have very few flushes.
So this is
So-
another heuristic I follow a lot. Well, I don't, but I should, which is if you interpret the donk as a polarized bet, there's no point in raising
Mhm.
because if you raise, they fold all the bad crap and they call all the good stuff, and you might as well just call and risk
Right.
less.
Yeah.
Right. And so this has two raises in the world. The made
Yeah.
hand and the bluff. And it's around, it's the same number of combos. Let's see, do we have it the same amount of time? No, we just never have it.
Yeah,
You
you have really no raises here.
Yeah, because you never have this ace king.
Yeah.
That's worth knowing.
You have no raises here, and that's the point.
Yeah, there are no raises in this range.
Yeah, you have bluff catchers and bluff catchers.
Right. And you have a little bit of flush. You do have these flushes. Ace six is the raise. You do have it.
Yeah, and it probably does show us a
And
raise.
you don't have it. Yeah, there's your raise for value.
Yeah.
All
And-
your nut flushes just call.
And are there any? Is Ace Queen have a back 1, 2, 3? Does Ace Queen offsuit have a backdoor there to a nut flush?
Yep. Yep, you need the ace to call.
No, that's interesting. Okay, I'm looking for a bluff. I don't see the bluff. Where's the bluff?
Right. Yeah, you need an ace of hearts to call, or a queen of hearts. Queen of hearts is not enough to call. You need an ace of hearts to call. You need a jack of hearts to call. The jack.
Open-ended.
No, I mean,
Jack is
the
open.
jack has an ace of hearts with it.
Yeah, the jack has an ace of hearts and it's open-ended. No, I meant the jack of hearts. That's the one I was looking at. The jack of hearts can call, and that's because of the jack.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, and so what's interesting about
top pair.
can you go roll over that jack again, that ace jack offsuit?
Yeah. Yeah,
I was just wondering if the existence of the jack of heart, which reduces the risk that he has a flush draw, your opponents have a flush draw, provides more calls than if you didn't have it. So if you look at the ace of clubs, jack of hearts, it calls, but the ace of clubs, jack of spades folds. And the difference there is because you're blocking the flush with the jack of hearts, you're more likely to be good if you make your straight.
you cannot continue without a heart. 2 overcards and a straight draw on a board that has a straight and a flush on there already is nothing. So you have to have a heart draw to continue. If you have the ace of hearts, you will continue 100% of the time. And if you have the jack of hearts, you'll continue half the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that's totally reasonable. The 10 is top pair. And even top pair is nothing without a heart. The queen is a straight draw, 8, 9, 10, jack, queen, and that's not enough without the ace of hearts. The queen of hearts isn't enough. And the difference between this and the jack is this is open-ended, 8, 9, 10, jack. So that's why you can play it half the time. This is gut shot. Therefore, you can never play it without the ace of hearts. And your bluff, this is not a thing. Let's see, when we click on it, it's going to, is it going to show us combos correctly? Up. Go back to the button. When we click on the ace king here, it's going to show us that we don't have any combos of it. So there is not, have we determined that there is no bluff raise in this range? Here's another example. We don't see a bluff, right? Yeah. Okay. Anything else we want to see on this board before we go away?
No.
All right. We'll do one more multi-way board and then decide that multi-way is too hard, or do you want to do more than that? I'm perfectly willing to do, but as it seems like we are slowing down.
Does it make sense
I would
to
do one more.
try
I
to
think
find some multi-way hands in your hand history and then align them with how they should be played?
Problem
I
is
love
that
that idea.
they're all going to have limps in them. That's how you get multi-way in the real world.
Okay.
You get multi-way with limpers. They're not going to be these positions, and they're not going to bet these sizes. But if we do, it's nice to have this tool.
Yeah,
You
I
want
would do. I would just do one more pure with DTO. I think would be the best use of our time, but that's just my vote. Whatever you guys want to
Yeah,
do.
we'll do at least one more because we wanted to look at something in the low jack. Joey had a question. We wanted to go back to see what happens with a low jack.
I am
let's-
also, and I might be
let's see
changing
if
too
we
many
can
things.
find the
at once.
same
I'm
board.
also interested in kind of 2 Broadway cards.
Okay.
But
Same
again,
board. Yeah, let's do the same board first. It was 9, 8, 6.
Well,
Yeah.
there were more checks on the 9-8-4.
Yeah, let's look at both those quick.
Because
9,
my
8, 6.
question was,
Oh, you want to do that one
Yeah,
first? Okay,
well, no,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. I just want to see,
do the 9, 8, 4 because we just did it.
because we didn't see any check ranges from the low jack last week.
Here we go. Here's our 9, 8, 4 that we just
what's
looked.
the difference here? You just the first opener was the low jack instead of the cutoff. Is that the difference?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got a much tighter range, and that affects these ranges.
Oh, okay.
And it's also going to check. In fact, just to take a look, the big blind's going to check range, but you wanted to see what his calling range was. That's his calling range there. So this is pretty close to a just a straight up low jack calling range.
Can you throw it on absolute real quick?
Sure. Yeah. That looks a lot like a low jack calling range to me.
I think that's not too far off what we'd see in GTO Wizard.
Can
Yeah.
you show me the low jack's RFI range?
Sure.
Thanks.
Let me just I'll just give that to you in DTO. DTO, FTO. DTO. Explorer will do it. We're gonna go pre-flop, 6 players, NL50, go. This is their low jack range.
So he's got suited aces, all the pairs, all the
None
Broadway.
of the suited
suited
connectors. This is,
Broadway.
this is the very different than GTO Wizard. He just doesn't have a suited connector in here.
Yeah.
He's got ace 9 that the wizard doesn't have, queen 10 that the wizard doesn't have.
Okay, I got it. I got the essence of what's going on here.
And that's the DTO one loves and he's got more of the pairs. The pairs are heavier. This pair is, these are all in the 12.5% range, 12.5 to, 20. These are all in the 10 to 20% range on GTO Wizard. This 5, 4, 3, 2. All right. Back to the pain of this. So, check range. And now we had in the cutoff version of this, this was a close to check range
Yeah,
board.
it was
Yeah.
like 95% check.
Yeah, I thought it was like 97, but yeah, it was high. And
I bet this is very similar.
really similar, a
Yeah.
little higher, but still,
Hmm.
And this also comes to the point where it's like, at what point can you, like, how close do you have to be to simplify check range?
I would check range this.
I
Does it-
think you
Like,
check range here.
I'm thinking it might be somewhere around 90% is the,
Makes sense. Does it
Yeah.
make sense to compare this now to a flop where heads up, you would have a very high betting frequency out of the low jack versus button? So like a king high board would be
Yeah,
an
but-
example.
Yeah, I'll put it on at the same time, so we don't have to keep going back and forth with it. Players, 6
Wow.
players, we want to be in the same solve here. So now is the Explorer good? So now we pick a board. Oh, I hit it
Low
wrong.
jack RFIs in button calls with big blinds
Yeah,
full.
you went into pre-flop, we gotta be in
I did.
post-flop.
Yep, that's what I did. Post flop, 3-way, back in the low jack, but you want to see a board. Ace,
A
king.
Yeah, something rainbow, with king high.
Yeah, there's no king, oh, king jack 2 should also be a high.
Yeah.
King 6-5.
King
Ace
6-5.
Ace 10, king 6-5,
I think
Ace-
king is a
No,
better.
ace 10
king
is
high
Yeah,
better.
king's better.
through the king. King
You
6-5,
should for betting from this low jack here,
check range,
Yeah.
as expected,
but not a lot.
low jack,
Yeah,
Not
it's
that much more.
13.
I would think a king high board I thought would be more betting from the low jack.
yeah, this is the multi-way phenomena.
So middle of the sandwich kind of holds true here.
But also, I also saw simple 3-way solves where Toe put in different raise sizes other than just a 1.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, so the other thing I would point out is even though out of position, if you open low jack in the button called in the big blind folded, in the king high, I don't know what the bet frequency is. I could look it up in GTO real quick, but it's still not like you're betting 60 or 70%. It's just it's a more than a
Ace-10.
non-zero number.
Scotty, ace 10's not a low jack board.
Yeah, I was just confirming that. That's all
Oh, okay.
with that. Wanted to see.
Let me just.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
There you go.
No, it's betting 50% of range
Yeah.
3 ways.
Yeah. Why
Yeah.
did you think ace 10 was not a low jack board versus a button and big blind call?
In simple 3-way, it did not replicate this result.
Wow, that's really interesting. So,
I was not expecting that.
Why? Because there's so many more aces than there are kings. But wow, that's weird. I'm surprised too.
We did we compare the button cutoff range from like GTO Wizard versus the button calling range in DTO?
No, we haven't looked at that. I'll put it up right now.
Because I know when Toad did the simple three-way, he did use the GTO Wizard ranges to
Okay.
set up the.
So we are looking pre-flop. We're looking study. We are looking six-handed. We are looking six-handed. We are looking NL 50. We are looking NL 50. Good. And we want to go, but we
Blue
want to
jack
do,
open.
right, here we go. Let's do that here. I need a big window. Okay, so cut out, who was the opener you wanted to see?
Low jack.
Low jack opens. And what does the button do? There's our button range. And here we want low jack.
They're not giving the button a call range.
Wow, that's not,
That's
that
just
makes,
off right there.
that makes no sense because we have one.
Check your
Let's make,
pre-flop settings. Maybe there's a button to click.
right, let's do this again. Optimize for NL 50. Or maybe we're doing the NL 500 version. So let's just do.
Break. No.
6 players, simplify it with bigger 3 bets, 6 players. 6 players, let's just do 6 players RFI. Raise, yes. Get used to this, raise, fold, fold.
There you go.
There we go.
There.
In NL 50, they want, that was their simplification. Now here. We are. Under the gun is the low jack, so under the gun raise. Button call,
Yeah, I looked this up. I'm wrong. He c-bets a lot.
okay, here we go. And this is, raise 7%, call 4.1%. And this is raise 6.8%, call 6.7%. And the shape. There we go. The shape is not, the shape is similar.
Yeah,
We don't do,
similar shape.
yeah, we fold, DTO doesn't fold any ace 8, we fold ace 8 and ace, we play ace 3, DTO basically doesn't. King 10, queen 10, jack 10.
Now DTO has a sliver of calls on ace three if you look close.
Yeah, but I mean, but compared to us, we
The
play
king
ace.
five,
here.
king six is missing.
Yeah. The ace jack off is quite different. The pairs, we fold 7s and 6s and 5s and 4s. And they
It
fold
has calls in ace king.
a lot of calls in ace king. So take your pick. You can play whichever
Alright.
range you want and still GTO
That
approved.
is that ace king and the king 10. The ace king itself kind of defeats the reasoning why we have a lot of bets on a king high or an ace king board, because the button is supposed to never have ace king in range.
Right, but here he does.
So when I looked at the other solvers, ace king was never in range.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's going to throw off the heuristics
difference.
I've learned from the other solver when I looked at it.
Yeah. So let's try the thing. Let's take a 5-minute break. And then let's see if we can do what Mike said, to try to filter for raise and call.
Okay, sounds good.
And then we'll see if we can put it, and then we'll see if there's any that we can look at. And watch me play them wrong. Okay. I will be right back.
Alright, I'm gonna have to log out. It's after 4. I'll see you guys.
Okay, see you, Joey.
All right. If anybody's there, I'll show you a really funny thing that DTO does. So I think we have to be in the trainer for it. All right, we're gonna play one hand. We have ace queen, and what happened here? We raised the ace queen, the small blind, 3-bet, and we called. Raise, re-raise, oh no, we 3-bet, we 4-bet it, and he called from the small blind. All right, so this is a 4-bet pot. He has a real hand. It's a 4-bet pot. I'm gonna bet 10. It likes how I played it. But here's the thing that you'll like. explain the last move. So
Wow.
it goes to an AI review now, and the AI is going to explain what it was. And it's going to sound really convincing. It could be completely wrong, but it's going to be very convincing. This
So
is the new,
it's well composed bullshit at times.
yeah, look at this. Isn't that nice?
Keep it there for a sec.
Okay, I'll leave it there. So if you ever need, if that's the one thing, if you run this in the background, we as real-time assistants during our training sessions, you can sound very intelligent if you read this. The equity realization thing, Brand, is something it says every time out of position. So it's just the answer that it is hard to play out of position. And so that this text shows up a lot. I've done a few of them and read it where the positional advantage and the equity realization are kind of the same story. Regardless of the board, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it's not that cut and paste, but I've seen it a lot. All right. So, Mike, Poker Tracker 4. Let's see if we can do what you suggested. Here we go. Poker Tracker 4. We need to make a new report. Hand report, cash. There we go. Cash hands. All right. So the filter you want me to do is,
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not too studied on Poker Tracker 4 filters, so I thought there might be a relatively easy way to find multi-way hands.
let's find out. We want cancel. We want to do it more filters. Here we go. So it's a hand detail. We know that. Number of players. We want players seeing the flop. We want it between 3 and 10. We don't care about the turn.
Or you could
And-
even set players seeing the flop between 3 and 3, right?
Okay, let's do that. Let's just do that. 3 and 3. There we go.
Add
Now-
filter.
We got that. Okay, good. Now we want to add another filter, which is we want the opening player to, we want the caller to be, we want no pre-flop limps. Number of limpers is between 0 and 0.
That filter is off now anyway, so that wouldn't apply, right?
Right now, but I want to limp out multi-way hands with a limper in it.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Filter. Good. So 3 players seeing the flop, no limpers. Let's see the number of raises because we want to raise and a call. Add to the filter. So let's see. Maximum pre-flop raise that occurred. 2-bet. On. Add to filter. All right, let's try this first. Save and apply filters and see if that even worked. Right.
Boy, you live in that zone.
Yeah. Well, it's, I don't know, 300,000 hands or something that we're looking into.
Well, you're only showing a hand. If you go to show most recent hands and you drop down and show all hands, you'll see how many hands you actually filtered for.
Yeah, right. But here we got 100 of them. So with this, let's just look at a couple of them and see if they're the kind of hand we want to be seeing. Okay, replay hands. We're 9-handed instead of 6. I'll change that. So there's an oversized raise, a call, another call. Great. That's the kind of thing we're looking at.
Perfect.
Okay, good. So this filter works. Now all we do is now change it to 6-handed tables.
Are you playing both?
I've been playing I've been playing the 9-handed as much as possible. Because they play worse, we've discovered. And I like that. Add filters,
Game and bet types.
game and bet types. Nope, that's not it.
No.
Back to hand details. Let's go for number of players. Players dealt into the hand. Up to 6. Good.
You got to turn on the filter.
Right. Got to turn on the filter. And now, I don't think we need to worry about position so much because now we can make an approximation. If someone calls in the cutoff, we'll call it the button. And now we'll do this. And then we'll find that we don't have that flop in DTO, and then we'll give up. That sounds like fun. All right, heads up. Play. Here we go.
Now, if you just right click at the top, if you right click, I think.
Yeah.
You could say play all, show all.
Oh.
Just
I
right.
was gonna just grab I was gonna grab the ones I was gonna
Oh.
store my stake and just not take the 10-cent ones. Because we haven't.
You could probably filter for 10 cent too, but
I
that's-
could have done that too. But this is what I did. That would have worked.
if you right click, there should be a drop down that set. Well, that works too. Right click and says replay all hands in report.
Yeah, that would work. But we grabbed these, and now we're gonna see some of this. And for fun, let's look at these first. Let's look at the higher dollar ones. I lost every one of these hands. I guess that should happen.
Yeah, if you replay all hands in report, then the browser will be accurate the whole time. Okay, that's fine too.
Oh, the browser. I'm not sure what you meant, but I didn't do it.
It's fine.
Okay.
All
Here we
right,
go.
so multi-way.
So this is multi-way. This is $1. So these players, we should have something decent here. And the other thing about this nonsense is, oh, and it's not fast. Okay, so there we go. All right. So what should happen here is ace 10 in the hijack should be opening pure. Ace queen on the button should 3-bet him, but he doesn't. Oh, and ace queen.
According to
can-
DTO, ace queen is going to call a
Ace
lot
queen
of the
can call.
times.
Ace queen can call on the button.
Yeah, early position opens. I'm flatting with ace queen.
Yeah,
also.
flat. And that brings king 4 in suited. Sure. Sometimes. Raise, call. Yeah, that's me. Let's see if that first mistake is there, according to DTO. Let's see. All right. Get out of the trainer. Get out of this explorer. Here we go. Here's our explorer. We want to be in the post-flop 3-player game. And this was closest to, he was closer to cutoff. He was hijack. So we'll put him in the cutoff. And
Do we have a similar flop texture?
no, we don't. Of course not. But
If you put all, because
I just wanted to see my range. What did you say?
I was going to say we were looking at the pre-flop range, right?
We were, yes, that's what we were doing. So I'll open up.
You had a filter that was only for rainbow flops on.
Yeah. That's what I
Yeah.
was saying, too.
Yep. But now we're in the pre-flop land, 6 players. 6 players. We'll just take its general 6-player game. So hijack, raises, cutoff folds, button calls, fold. And now we want to see what you say about my big blind play. It likes king 4 as a fold and mixes the king 5.
Well, at least you were cuspy.
Yeah, I'm cuspy.
Yeah.
But allow me to justify it another way. I'm going to get there. The wizard. Come on, wizard. Justify my play. Raise, button call. Big blind. Come on, king 4. Ah, all right. So, first mistake. This is a fold.
I think it's awesome.
It's before I knew it was a fold. That's a fold.
It's a fold.
Right. We have a backdoor. He has top pair. Backdoors are not enough. This should go check, bet, fold, fold.
It's what does he?
Well,
Yeah, this is what we see a lot, I think, in reality.
Yeah.
Just stick it in. I've got
Yeah.
top pair, I want protection.
A top pair, want protection. It's a dry as heck board. So I mean, the only cards that hurt him on the turn are a jack, queen, and king. He doesn't need to do that. And it's going to work, of course. I have to fold this. I
Let me
have
ask you. Yeah, you got.
Oh. Thank you.
Let me ask you guys a question. Do you like a check raise here?
No.
From me?
what, the ace 10?
That's what we're going to look at. I think this is,
Oh, you're
there's,
talking about the ace side. I thought you went for the big blind. Sorry, Scott.
No,
there's
no.
no reason this big blind, there's no reason that this is not a check range board for the middle, I think. That's what we're going to learn right now. We're going to go to DTO Wizard. and
So it's
find-
gonna be I think it's gonna be a mix, and you're not gonna see any check raises from that hand.
I think we might get some check raises. I think that there's not a lot of betting.
I think it's gonna be a mix.
Right. Do you want him in the?
I
You
think
want-
cutoff.
There's gonna
is
be
the
a
closest,
lot.
right?
There's gonna be a lot of checking, and this one's gonna have a bet in it. That's my theory.
All boards paired. 10 deuce deuce.
Yeah.
We do not have, right? Yeah.
I
Closest,
tried 655, but that's not as good. But
996 is closer.
996. So you're
No,
right.
no, because 10 deuce deuce, we went for the littler card. We just don't have anything like it.
Was it rainbow?
I've got it on all, so. There's nothing here that,
Sorry
there's
about that.
nothing here that looks even close to it.
Yeah.
All right, that was fun. Let's try it.
Maybe
in
we
the-
move over. Yeah, it makes sense to move on. See
Let's
if we
try the
find
other
a
one.
better texture.
Yeah, let's see, instead of post flop, let's try, we did the cutoff version. Now we'll do the low jack version. Was that it? No, we did the low jack. Now we'll do the cutoff version. Cutoff version. Paired boards. Same thing,
Yeah,
right?
kind of missed on this one.
Yeah, we can't do it.
So
making-
I mean, the reason why I said I think
Oh, no, wait, here we go. Here's more paired boards.
Shitty.
Here we
Pretty
go.
shitty, bud.
Queen 6-6.
What was the high card? Was it 10? Yeah. So
Yeah. So 10 deuce deuce.
What do you say?
Queen
Queen
6-6.
6-6.
But
I'm
it does
getting
have
some
a flush
anarchy
draw.
here.
Did it have a flush draw?
Brand, can
Couple
you?
weeks afterwards. Since you have a little bit of time to get.
There we go. I muted him.
Did it have it as a flush draw?
There wasn't, but we just don't have that many options.
Can you? But if you go back to the selection, I think you're going to find a rainbow.
There was one, but it won't give me more flops.
Okay.
I'll show you what I mean. We're in the low jack version, right? Low jack.
So
Here's
just,
I go to rainbow and it just says,
I'm just looking to see if there's anyone that is better than the one that you had. 10-10 through. No.
3 is close in one
I
way.
like 8-5-5 better than. I like the rainbow. I think it's.
Let's look at them both. Let's do the one we're on right now. 10-10-3. All right. Now his 10 though is so much better.
Well, I like the bottom pair because you have top pair.
I agree. We're going to look at that in a second.
Okay.
But just to see, check range like we expected. Low jack has, okay, fine. Fine interface. You can't assume that I check when they move on. Low jack has a ton of betting.
Wow.
Interesting.
On
So
this
hand
board-
class over pairs, betting at very high frequency.
Yeah.
Is what I see.
It loves betting its quads. Just
Betting
bet-
its quads, shocking. Why would-
shocking. What do you think what do
Well,
you
it's
think?
betting everything. It's range betting.
I know. Almost everything, yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
Yeah,
it's only
betting
it's
across
betting-
the whole range. Yeah.
It's betting 50% and
Oh, I'm sorry. I misread I thought when you were scrolling over, I saw 90%.
no, that was that one hand.
Yeah.
Wow,
Okay.
I just still a little bit blown away that it checks locked up, it bets lock up equity pair here.
And that,
Locking
yeah,
all continues on a rainbow.
yeah, there's like, no, what are they gonna call you with? All right.
So if you go back to the
Now let's
flop,
go back to the other board. What?
yeah,
Yeah.
you go back to the board.
Yep. Low jack.
If you pick like 855 rainbow, I think that's the
8-5.
closest one.
Okay, let's look
I
at
mean, I
8-5.
could be wrong, but
It's got
so
some
I'm
similarity.
guessing that before you go past the big, we showed the hijacks range. I'm guessing he is betting the low jacks range. Sorry, he's betting 40% of the time. Maybe
I think he's betting less than 30%.
you might be right. Okay,
He's
but
not
I
betting-
also will say he's betting his ace. He's betting his eight, his
Right.
ace. His ace eight's mixing, and that's similar to your hand, is what I'm trying to say.
And I'd like to say, Mr. Wizard, that when the only option the big blind has is to check, you don't need to make me press the button.
Yeah, I know. That's why we subscribe
Check
to.
range. Check range.
Is this the low jack?
This is the low jack.
I respectfully am impressed.
There is your range check now. Let's take a look at another board here. Low jack button.
Try the queen 6-6 board.
Yeah, we were on the queen 6-6. That was suited, but that's fine.
It's if it's not rainbow, it's in my view not meaningful to what we're looking at.
I'm curious if he's got check raise with top pair here.
I'm going to check.
%.
Got some bets out. And his top pair, which is his queen, like the guy had, his ace queen. Yeah, he can bet it. He can just bet right out, but his sizing is off.
Yeah.
So
So what was the difference between this one and the one we just looked at?
855.
the
Was
queen,
there a flush draw on that queen bet? The queens that bet? No.
no, there's a flush draw here. There wasn't a flush draw on the other board, but I don't think that's what did it. I think what does it is 855. We just don't have any offsuit eights. The
Yeah,
board-
you need like a 10 or better in order to make this work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I feel a little vindicated, but not a lot.
Okay,
Check Larry's question. Have check the low jack button bet, big blind fold, and see if the low jack check raises. How
Check.
often? Right, Larry? That's what you wanted?
Yes, sir.
button. Button has got a world of betting.
And how many ace queens are in that? About half of them? A little less.
Wow, sliver.
Like 75%, right?
No, 75% fold.
He's got a very small.
No,
percent.
ace queen off is 75%.
Oh, ace queen off. I'm sorry. Duh. Ace queen off. Yeah, he's got a lot of them.
Yeah, he's got a lot of ace queen on.
Yeah.
All right.
There we go. So he's gonna bet. And now big blind on this board. I don't think the big blind has a lot of check raises.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Oh, goodness.
Got some. So I'm wrong. Check raises every 6, just doesn't mess around
Yeah.
for quads.
I mean, I do think that's something important to remember. If a guy's playing correctly and he's checking range, he's got a lot of quality in his hand, in his checking range.
Check raises 6s. Check raises queens mixing. The ace queen more than linear, ace queen more than king queen. Less than queen jack. $60, $13, $30, $47, $48. Yeah. So the queen jack. The king queen is the least often of them. That's what it protects it with. And then flush draws can check raise. Backdoor flush draw. No, backdoor just folds multi-way. Ace high backdoor multi-way fold. Even the ace 7 blocking the 7-6 folds. Yep. There is no backdoor. King high flush draws can do its sum. Queen's the pair. And then sixes, and so those are your bluffs. That's pretty simple. And then you've got this little bit of, yeah, you bluff your flush draws. There's no straight draw on the board. So every flush draw bluffs at some frequency. None of them fold. Everything else folds. That's sensible, right?
Yeah.
Good. I was just checking if I went offline there for a second. Okay. That's sensible. And that was all we wanted to see on this hand. Move on.
What
Oh,
did you do?
fold,
Let's
fold
see
and
the
then check the low
odds.
jack.
How did the other hand go out? The one that was in PT4.
The 8's 10 bet too large, got two folds,
Oh, got two folds.
which is correct. You know, like that. The low jack has almost no check raising.
And
And
is it
when-
any different if the big blind flats
Yes.
the button?
Yes, I think he's
But
gonna
we do agree that the ace 10's betting is not bad. It's just the sizing, right?
Yeah, it's just the size.
Yeah.
It's all just the size. His bet was fine. So back to the big blind folding. Big blind's now gonna call. Now we look at our low jack, check
And
raise.
we think it's gonna be more, right? Yeah, it's gonna be
It's not a
more.
lot, but it's a lot more. Okay. Next $1 hand, ace king raises. How did this go multi-way? Which of these people played wrong? I think villain 187 played wrong. And villain 190 played right. And hero played perfectly. Raise, fold. There we go. All right. So we're going to call this low jack button. And the flop of king.
You said
nine-
186 should have raised, right?
Or 186 open raise. He did. He did it right.
Oh, he did open raise.
He opened. The mistake, the only mistake in this hand is the jack six calling. The sevens should call the ace king there. Because you always raise the church, to quote Louis, and to quote my wife, and the church often disappoints.
No quotes, no comment.
Yeah. All right. There we go.
Okay.
Okay. So we can look at this one. All right. Same game, post flop, 3 players, low jack, and we're going to call it the button. And we need monotone. What do we got?
What was the
It
flop?
It was king high.
King 9-5,
9-5.
closest thing to king 9-5 is
Queen 7-3 is good.
queen 7-3. All
10
right.
8-4 might be better, but
We'll try that one too. We can look at multiple things. All right. Queen 7-3. Now on the play, big blind needs to check sevens. By the way, big blind has sevens. There we go. Big blind needs to check his sevens. Ace king in reality can bet. I think it's a better check call.
so I think that without a spade, you just got to check it.
Yeah, we're not getting the spade to fold. So yeah, I think we check. I think you just go into check call end. Check. And he does. Checks around 3 ways. The spade comes now. There's nothing. I was gonna say now he can bet the turn, but now he's just gotta check down. Well,
Okay, so what do you do with sevens here?
this is tough.
I think you take a showdown. You may call, but I don't think you bet it.
If you're betting it,
Yeah.
you're trying to get a small spade to fold. You're
I think you
actually,
check. I think
Yeah.
you check and then call.
Well, wait, hold
then
on.
bet.
Wait a second, Scotty. You just said something I want to respond to, which is you could do that with bullshit too. You don't need to.
I know. That's you missed my inflection. I wanted to turn a set into a bluff, I guess.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
what I'm going- I was going, you bet, and
No,
what's
no,
the- what's good that can happen? I mean, you could be called by the ace king.
So I think Jack 6 has a bet here to two jacks. If it
It was
were.
not ace king's betting. He bets out. And I think that's wrong.
Yeah, because he's saying similarly, he could take a showdown, although he's going to lose a lot.
Yeah.
I-
But is he trying to get it? But he's turning it into a bluff.
Right, but
And
he's
of
got
course-
too much showdown value with ace king. That's a
All right. This is a relatively interesting hand. Okay. So, check range. We
I'm
know
gonna
that.
say check range here too, even with a
Okay.
club. That's my
Okay.
guess. I totally guess. Total guess.
absolutely.
I'm going to guess that I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. I was right.
Oh, I'm wrong. 20% is
Yeah.
real.
20%. And we assume everything has to have a club in it except sets. Let's see. Betting a club. Betting both the ace of clubs and the 10 of clubs bets. Yep. Yep. Bets a club. Ace queen. Bets top pair, regardless. So his ace king was a good bet. Here's him just betting right out on his ace queen, and he can check it. So both are fine.
Hmm.
Betting a club. Betting aces only with a club.
Yeah, it's a marginal made hand at this point, aces.
Yeah, yeah. And here we go. On the suited branch, you bet a bunch, you mix all of your flushes. And this is your bluff. That's crazy, but it makes sense. There's your bluff, and I guess you have outs. You know, more than ace deuce does.
It's really just a weird bottom pair bluff in a weird spot.
Yeah.
I don't know.
A weird bottom pair bluff in a weird spot. And now the one thing I am going to look at though, in these made flushes is the pattern of the flushes, the ones that bet the most and don't.
I am curious if the twos that bet here
They have a club.
club or don't have a club.
They have a club. And twos can be just pure bluffed, like the three.
Well, that's what I'm curious about. Is
There's-
I would think that it would want to not bluff it with the club without. You want them.
You prefer to not have a club. You prefer it to be such a clean bluff that you know you're beat when you move on. Just
Yeah.
like the three can't have a club.
Yeah.
Fours needs a club to bet and never does it. 5 needs a club to bet and never does it. 6 is same thing. 7's bets is a set, not pure. 8's needs a club. I don't need to go on. We know the pattern.
Yeah, I was real. 20% is a lot more than I would have guessed.
Yeah. Right.
So we're betting our king high flushes at some frequency, not as much as our ace high flushes.
Right.
But it looks
And
like when we
here-
get to the jack high flushes, queen high flushes, we're not betting at all.
Yeah. Looking at that here, that is the thing I wanted to look at was the small flushes bet, as do and they're also your bluff. No, the small flush doesn't bet.
Don't bet.
No, that's why I thought they bet. No, these are your straight draws. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So bluff. Don't bet the flush. Bluff. There is no flush. Starting here. So this is your lowest flush. Lowest flush, 9, 8, never bets. 8, 9. So all these low ones don't bet at all. You get a sliver in the world of jack. So smaller than an ace mostly doesn't bet. And then of the ace high ones, the one that does it the most is ace jack does it the most of all of them. Ace
So
jack flush about.
I am curious if you scroll down to the offsuit ace cat line, like which
Wait a
one?
minute, no, I'm wrong. Look, I'm wrong. These have to do with their relative, your absolute times you have it? No. Go on, you were saying?
Well, I'm just kind of curious. I mean, like in poker, in like real life, the way I would approach this is I might bet strong flushes, hoping to be called by draws, especially if I unblock, and or by I'm sorry, by pairs, if I made hands and draws. But I also would then use the ace high blocker as a bluff, and so I'm looking at the offsuit ace line on the left side. Offsuit ace, not pair, not suited ace.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just curious. It's betting.
It needs a club. Any club will do.
It's betting. Yeah, but I wonder what percentage of it. Like ace 10. What? It's not betting it all the time.
No.
Yeah, I thought it would bet with a higher frequency.
Oh, here's how you do it. You can read the frequency this way, since these have the same number of those. So 20%, 19, 31, 20.
So
This
this
one's
one,
top pair.
I want to look at the one with the clubs.
Right, clubs. So because they all do the same thing with clubs, you can go with the 10 is at 20%, the jack is at 19%, the king is at 20%, same amount, same frequency, basically. It does the same thing, regardless of kicker.
Right. The point I'm making is that it's interesting that the ace 10 with the 10 of clubs looks like it's betting with a similar frequency to the ace 10 with the ace of clubs. And that's counterintuitive to me.
Right. And we'll get the number exactly. And with the same frequency as with the jack of clubs. It doesn't care about whether it's the 10, the jack,
Yeah.
or the king, even though or the king. It's happy with all of them. And then you wanted to see what the exact number was.
It's splitting. 50,
Here's
40, 60, 40.
59%, 58%. I mean, this is, yeah, it's the same number.
Yeah, I mean, like that's very surprising to me.
Yeah. The 10 of clubs is as good as the ace of clubs in its mind. Surprising. And with your made flushes, the ace king, which blocks the world of everything, ace king is 54%. Ace 2 is 58%. So yeah, it just checks them a fair amount. Ace.
Is the 10 of clubs deal that Josh is kind of wondering about? The queen of clubs is on the board, so that eliminates a lot of his top pairs when we have the 10 of clubs. Because he would call, your opponents would call with queen 10 of clubs, queen jack of clubs. Those would be hands that they would have in range. Is that potentially the reason the 10 of clubs is kind of valuable?
Yes.
It blocks his top pairs.
Yes. 10 and jack both interfere with his top pairs. And we were on the low jack there. Okay. So now having seen that, our guy had ace king, which is comparable to ace queen. And he's going to, and so he's got ace. So in our world, he's got ace queen and he checks it. And the button checks. And now the turn is the 3 of spades. So 3 of clubs. We're already out there, so that's the 4. Does it bring in a straight? No. So we want one that doesn't bring in a straight. So let's go with the deuce. And now the big blind can make pot and double pot bets. Nothing else. That's on a force, and that's even on a force flush. I think
I have a question about the sizing. Yeah, I question that.
Yeah, I don't agree with this. Go on. Question?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm surprised it doesn't have more nuanced betting pattern.
Right. Here's what I believe.
Options.
I believe this is not a GTO approved thing. I think this is a programmer's decision that on the turn, the only sizes that it allows on any board are pot and double pot. And it doesn't, and that's whether it's been checked or bet. That's what we've seen so far. And all I need is 4 examples to think that something is 100% true.
I agree. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's what they solve for.
And we'll see if that, we'll see if that gets contradicted, but that's my belief now. All right, here we go. Check range on this 4 flush board. Including, including the nuts, just check range here. Bluff the ace deuce into 2 players. Bluff the king 8. Bluff the king 9. Oh my. And don't bet it. And note the flushes. This flush bets a little bit. Yes, so
So
Your
we're mostly
ace-high
trapping
flush
flushes
bet.
at this point, right?
what? You're,
On
you're,
turn, it looks like we're mostly trapping flushes.
no, we're done trapping the ace high flushes. We're gonna look. See that? Look at the ace
Oh,
4.
yeah, okay.
We're done
Gotcha.
done trapping, bluffing. I mean, sorry, not playing it. Said it wrong. Done trap. Yeah, we don't trap an ace high anymore. The ace 10 is the trap.
Okay.
Yeah, these flushes that
So if we're
bluff,
blocking
big
their
ones.
flushes,
Yeah, they're
their
single.
Broadway flushes cards, we're gonna trap. Except for ace king.
Ace king, you just don't bother not to. The ace queen trap. The ace queen, you can't have it. Ace jack traps, doesn't trap.
Interesting.
So here, because they can have something bigger, when, here you really need them to catch up on something, I guess. And here they can already have it. Then when we get down to your kings, not nut trap, we bluff the jack, we bluff all the king jacks. Wow.
Yeah.
We don't
This has
bet a
got to
single
be,
high. We don't bet a single king high. Queens are never there.
what's most interesting about this is that
We bet
it's
the jack.
still bluffing all these combos, even though we saw big blind is checking range.
Yeah. And the only flush that's, so the jack 10 is a small flush that bets. And that's it. The only other flushes that bet are your ace highs. That are your small ace highs. Right?
Well, that kind of makes sense. You've got to have
And your big,
ones here to
and
bet on
yeah,
a 4 to a flush.
yeah, you don't bet anything smaller than the ace except for the jack 10.
And everything else, you're bluffing the ace of clubs.
No, the ace of clubs is not a bluff anymore. The ace of
Sorry,
clubs-
you're bluffing as though you have the ace of clubs.
yeah, you're bluffing king. You're bluffing things that I guess block people from having aces.
Yeah, having an
Things,
ace X combo.
yeah, things up here that have it.
Having an ace X combo with the ace of clubs,
Right.
yeah.
And your singletons, you don't slow play the ace at all. You don't and you do slow play you do check the jack. So having got there, you don't like your jack or your 10. And you bet you never slow play your singleton ace of clubs.
Mind blown.
Right, but you do slow play these aces. These ace of clubs. Here. There they are. I knew they existed. 10, jack, and queen. All right. And what happened was it went check, check, check. And then on the button, just so we can see the same thing in this crazy 4 flush. Button doesn't bet anything.
checks all of the nut flushes.
Nut flush, nut flush, nut flush. Yeah. Yeah.
Something's
It's
wrong here. The numbers don't
absolutely
add up.
relative to
Now
it.
they do. Okay, that makes sense.
It checks every nut flush except for some of its ace queen. An absolute, you can see, it doesn't have them that often, but when it does, also very
What's
surprising.
the Jack 10 2x?
A bluff. Only a bluff. Let's see what the 2x value is. Oh, relative. The 2x value is the ace queen. There's some tiny bit of ace queen there. Where is it? All in. No. I'm sorry, 2x.
Okay.
This is, I gotta hit the button correctly again. And then we're gonna move on. No, these are not it. So we want to see the 2x bet. I only want to see the 2x bet. Jack 10 has it as a bluff. Where is
Yeah, I
the
don't see
two?
it anyplace else. I don't see any balance.
All right, this is not GTO, my friends.
YouTube, please comment below. What are we seeing?
Right. Those of you who programmed DTO Wizard, We res-
WTF?
we know that it's only 0.6 combos, but we respectfully disagree that this is anything except solver noise. And if you have not solved it, if you've solved it only down to this 1.3%, maybe you might want to average it, put an, at the end of your results and turn this to 0 so we don't see this, because this is nonsense. Right?
Yeah.
We
I
all
agree.
agree.
Yeah,
All
there's
right,
no, one combo
But-
doesn't make any sense for that
Let me
size.
check. And then we don't get to see what happens on the river. All right. Yeah. One combo that is balanced by nothing, because the whole theory of GTO is that I can hand you my strategy and say, here's how I'm going to play. Good luck.
Yeah, if you played this hand a million times, it's pretty obvious when you have Jack 10 off, isn't it?
So he got sevens to fold. He turned ace king into a bluff and didn't even know he was.
So my
bluffing.
argument in real time is that for this, you're gonna have to give this guy traps on turn.
Give
And
the king traps on turn.
you're gonna have to give him flush traps on turn.
Yeah.
To fold 7-7. And I don't know how much people are going to trap
Can you
the
give him?
really good flushes here.
Can you give him marginally made flushes on turn that he's now decided are good? Like the king high, he didn't bet. Sorry, the queen high.
Yeah,
He just
yeah,
not
you have a good point.
high.
You have a
And
good
now he's
point.
betting it for value, even the jack.
I think the king of spades is important on the board.
Yeah.
And I think because of his position, he does have, of course, marginal flushes, but he's got less in low jack.
All right. Now we had a question here. Do you think he was really, Brand asks, do you really think he was value betting or he's going to have many higher spades in range? I think he's bluffing. So, I think that in his mind, he was making a mergey bet, meaning he didn't know when he bet this, whether he was trying to bluff somebody off a small spade or whether he was trying to get value from a worst king or whether he was trying to bluff a set. I mean, that's what it is. I don't think he knew, because if he did know, I don't think you choose top pair to do this, because everything, it's probably the case everything worse folds. As we saw, a set folded. And so he's trying to get better to fold, I think. Because he's not trying to get worse to call and not with that sizing. So yes, I think he was bluffing and I don't think that he knew it because I don't think this is a good bluff.
I think, I agree with you. I think this is mergey. I don't think that he knows.
Yeah, me too. I think his mindset was that, oh, it checked through, nobody has a flush, I'm gonna value bet my ace king.
Right.
That's what he's thinking,
So prove me wrong.
first
Okay,
level.
here we go. That's what we're guessing. All right. Fold. King jack can raise in this position. Ace king suited should 3-bet him.
I have no
Um,
idea how this is gonna multi-way.
I do. This is easy.
Ace king is gonna flat,
don't
but
play
who's
it
gonna
this way.
flat behind?
Yeah, you don't play the, oh, the queen 5 suited or the 10-6 suited is flatting behind. I hope it's
Okay.
not the 10-6 suited. Please
I
don't
guess,
be.
I would guess that, hero, let's,
I may have played this
no,
wrong.
you aren't hero.
I'm hero. I could have easily played this wrong back before I knew. I thought that when you had a multi-way pot that anything suited that can make a straight was good enough to call.
Yeah, it is from 2023.
That's
so,
good. Yeah, all right. But
Never mind.
that's what I think is gonna happen. The other possibility is ace king raises and ace 9 calls. But I hope it's that raise, call, queen 5 calls and I fold. That's what I hope. There's the raise, there's the call.
This is a year and a
Nope.
half ago, so we'll.
It's me. There we go. All right. So let's look at that range. Oh, we can't look at that range. There are no calls in that position. But
There,
this-
not suited. There were some ace king offs on DTO on the button.
right. This is going to be, by the way, for me, this while being very, very wrong, 10-7 suited is a call. Let's do hijack button since we don't have a cutoff and me, and I think we're gonna get 10-7. Come on, wizard. Save me. This was this, now I don't remember. Was it hijack? No, yeah, hijack raises.
So
we
we
have
can do hijack button.
button calls, and button calls do not include ace king suiteds, but he does. So at least I wasn't the first person to be wrong. And 10, no 10-7s here.
I'm
I
gonna
thought we-
call it wide cuspy.
Oh, maybe you know what it was? Maybe the 10-7 was only in the cutoff range there in DTO.
So that's
Just a quick check here. The DTO, poker. Oh, don't do that. Not what I want. DTO, Explorer, cash. That's what we want. Pre-flop. 6 players. We have hijack raising. Cutoff has none, so cutoff has to, oh, cutoff has cold calls here. So there we go. Let's see what DTO thinks of it.
got some
DTO does,
traps.
but it doesn't hate it. So ace king does it and ace queen suited does it, so doesn't hate it. So there's a call from the cutoff. This is a nice thing with the DTO tool is that we now have more calls here we can look at. Now we get a fold, and the big blind.
Something's
Oh, it's the
not
low jack.
right.
Okay, let's restart this. This is not right. Play again. Here we go. Fold, raise, cutoff, call. And the cutoff range there was. Back a step. Yep, the one we saw. Slightly different because it was with the low jack, but there we go. It doesn't ever, yeah, it does call a little bit of ace queen suited. There we go. So
Oh,
cutoff calls. It calls.
so we were seeing an overcall from the cutoff
Yeah,
prior
that's
to
what,
this.
that's what we saw, and it does exist now. So this is good. DTO, because DTO has these calling tools here. That's good, because that means we can run more hands. Fold. Come on, 10-7 suited. Nah. Nothing is going to save me from my bad actions.
Your 2023 big blind defend range, Scotty, has gotten much better.
Yes, yes. I said, what's gonna save you is that this was a year and a half ago.
Yes. What's gonna hurt me is I flop top pair. But I don't have to lose too much money on this, do I? He bets out. He bets out a reasonable sizing. It's bigger than he needs to, but totally reasonable. I need to just fold. I do, and that's what happens. And then let's just take a look at this fun here since we've gotten this far. We have. So the closest thing to this is going to be, this is again hijack cutoff, so we don't have that. Hijack cutoff is going to be cutoff button. Cutoff button. And this is going to be another monotone. 753 is the only monotone we have. So we're done. There's nothing like it. This
These are
went,
not the droids you were looking for.
this went three-way. So this had to be king deuce raised, 4-6 called, and I called with jack 5 back before I knew better. Yep. At least I know what I know what I thought at the time. And
Plus, none of us are the ones that are putting our own play up for observation, so we
Okay.
appreciate it.
and he jams. Short stack jam. Oh, another reason that this call is bad is that one of the players has 17 big blinds.
Yeah, so you have less than 5 odds multi-way.
Yeah. Right. So he just jams and it's gonna work. Right. And that board. Was that a board that I don't think that was a board we could even look at, much
No.
less a solve we
No,
had.
yeah, small blind.
Yeah.
Small blind with a short stack.
Yeah, there's nothing. Yeah, that's completely different. Jack raises, king queen. I'm going to call in 2013. And this king queen probably does some mixing. Probably does have some calls on the
Yeah, I
button.
think calling here is okay.
Yeah, I bet that's what I bet it does. And down to 2. I don't 3-bet it because we know that. This
King
brings
10's
in
gonna come along.
king. King 10 is going to come along, which is a huge mistake. No, 5-3 is going to come along with a broken
Whoa.
stack, which is a huge mistake. But he only loses 1 big blind in his huge mistake. Oh, he's going to lose more than 1 big blind. I'm
Will
not.
he donk shove into this top set?
He donk shoved before. Check.
No.
Bet's too big. I fold, easy fold from me. No, why am I doing this?
Now,
And-
remember some of these DTO things that we've seen. You've got 2 overs and 2 back doors.
Right.
I bet DTO has, even though we've all kind of thought that that would be a bad call before, we've seen this kind of hand call here, right?
We're going to
Yeah.
look at it like
Yeah,
this.
I think this is a good one to look at, but I think you've got a good point, Mike. This might have enough going on to continue.
I don't think it does because I'm not closing the action.
I see your
Let's
point.
hope the turn
Yeah.
doesn't. Help me. The turn helped me. We bet 7. Now I should call, I think. I think that's right. And now I just fold.
He checks.
Oh,
Oh, I'm going to bluff. Oh, this is going to end
Why
so
would
bad.
he? Well. Check the 4-liner.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Interesting.
that was
Misplayed it.
your steep red line in action there. Your
Yes.
steep red line play
My
in
steep
action.
red line just went into blue line, or into steep
Yep.
blue line down. But you want to know where red line comes from? It comes from there when it works. All right, so this is going to be, we'll look at this both the low jack and the cutoff. Let's see the low jack version. We have this one. So the flop is jack 8-5 two-tone. Okay, top pair is, okay, so top pair is jack 9-5, close enough. Jack 8-6, perfect. Jack 8-6. Yeah, jack eight, because we want the jack eight. This is good. All right. Big blind, checks range, including his five, including in this case, his 6-3. He has bottom pair. We check. All right. We're on the button. So he, with his pocket jacks, does some betting. So here's your flop with a fair amount. This is not a check range board. He's got 17% betting. That's a lot
Mhm.
for here. And what does he bet? Over pairs.
What about his front doors?
Front door flushes. Let's see. It's clubs. Oh, you can't have a jack. Okay.
A little bit, not much.
Yep. He can bet them. Mostly doesn't. Mostly checks them. When they're smaller. Sorry. When they're smaller, this is with a straight. Yeah. So he bets some of them. And then he bets his jacks. Not all of them. The time. His eights. He can bet all his eights. He can check them. So yeah, that's where his bets come from. And then 6 set bottom pairs, even. I wouldn't do this. Yeah, I wouldn't do any of this. Of the ace-6. But I would do what I did with the king-queen, obviously. Okay, so he has a set here, so he bets, and the guy bets small, and now. Hooray! Justice! And now absolute, let's see how often do I have king-queen here. I have very few king-queens here.
Yeah, you're
Mostly
supposed to 3-bet it mostly.
3-bet it, but it is approved. I can do it. And when you do it, you can call with the club. And much better to have the king of clubs than the queen of clubs. And you can also fold it. I have the queen, so another reason that this was played badly. Then the club comes in. Also, the bet was larger. So another reason this was played even more badly. More badlier. Club comes in with a 5 of clubs. This is what it's going to be. Five of clubs. Think we have any donks?
No, not from the low jack.
Okay.
Oh goodness, look at
Oh, goodness.
you do.
Yeah. Bluffy 6-7, which is now has a draw to go with it. So here's pair and a draw. This is a non-Jonathan Little play here. Pair and a draw, another non-Jonathan Little play. And you don't do it with a flush. Oh no, yeah, you don't do it with a flush. Which flushes do you bet out? A little bit of ace king, a lot of ace queen, because you can get called by a king. There is no ace jack. A little bit of ace 10, a little bit of ace 9, no ace 8. Some ace, oh, yeah. Don't know why that's true.
Man, the flush and the straight comes in from the button, and you're potting your middle set.
Yeah.
Gosh, I just don't see that being.
And then the low ones, unblocking. The advantage of these low ones is they unblock the other guy to have a king and a queen and a jack. I mean, not a jack, a king, a queen, and a 10. That's nice. You want him to have that. You want him to draw to it. Ace, king blocks the king part of it. And so that's why it does the checking. There, ace 10, I don't know why. I don't know why I don't know the difference between ace, queen, and ace 10. Straight draw? No. Blocks a straight draw? No. Okay, I don't know. But yeah. Bang out your set for pot.
I don't see why you would out of position.
Mm-hmm.
And can
And when you check it, we're gonna look and see when you check it instead. Are you going for a check raise? We're
if
gonna
you
look at
don't, it looks pure. It looks like a pure pot bet.
eights are, but sixes aren't. That's what I'm saying is we're gonna look at the sixes. We're gonna look at the sixes and the jack checks and see if those are check raises. In a second. But when we do this, so he bet, do we have him betting? So there's the turn, the flush comes in. Low jack checks. His bet is supposed to be pot size, and his bet was, I think his bet was 3/4 of a pot. So against the pot size bet, do you continue with the queen of clubs? No. You just, you get your draw and then you fold.
Interesting.
Yeah, you have to have
What
the
about
ace.
if you have the case ace of clubs?
There it is. You check raise him with the ace of clubs.
Hmm.
You fold this, you check raise the ace of clubs here. You check call the ace of clubs with your jack. You check raise your ace of clubs with a king.
But if I'm
So
not
this,
misreading this, you are folding a lot of top pair. Good kicker here.
yeah. Your jacks, let's look at them. Yeah, jack, fold, fold, fold. Ton of it. Oh, that's why the ace jack, that's why the ace jack can call. It's top pair. I didn't see that. Ace jack is something.
Yeah, it's top pair.
Oh. Ace
Draw the
queen.
nuts.
Yeah, ace queen and ace king are now clear. You bluff
Yeah.
your ace of clubs, you bluff your singleton ace of clubs, except that when you have the jack. That explains that.
Yeah.
You fold your jacks all the way up to ace jack. That's big. You fold your overpairs without a club and not aces. Aces. Aces, you just lose all your money to the flush because you check raise your aces.
Mhm.
Right. And the eights, he was in, so now when he bets his eights,
Yeah,
if we,
he didn't. He
right, so now we're gonna do it,
he-
oh, I thought about check raising. No, he's in
yeah,
position.
your sixes is what you were thinking about check raising.
Right, but but that wasn't from the low jack. We check call the sixes.
I know, but you were wondering if you check raise it, and you don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Nope, when we check, hey, okay, and that was a hand that I played, and that's gonna be our last hand.
Good session.
All right, everybody. See you tomorrow for more multi-way madness.
Oh,
Oh, I'm
goodness.
looking so forward to March being over. This is so, this is so hard, and it's like I don't even feel I'm learning anything.
It's pretty, yeah, it's pretty intense.
Yeah, we are learning something, but I don't know what it is, therefore I'm not learning it. Okay,
Maybe we give it a couple more sessions and see if something starts to gel.
Oh. we're going through all March. We have, I think, eight of these.
All right,
ish.
let's do it.
Okay,
Yeah.
All
Bye,
right,
y'all.
thanks
And
for the
it's-
session.
Yeah, thanks, man.
We'll
and
talk to
hey,
you
Brandon,
tomorrow.
good to see you. Maybe we'll see you again tomorrow. We do this again tomorrow, 3 hours earlier, 2 hours earlier, 2 hours earlier tomorrow. All right.